All right. Yes, he had to change the intro. So let's do this. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk, where we have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversations about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Let me go ahead and introduce the crew. One of them fell out, but to my right we got Rick.
Season's greetings, homies. What's good? How's everyone?
Why you sound like that? What's good?
Julian. Julian. I need you to just host the show and stay out of my business, man. You know,
All right, all
we will
right, all
not
right.
be a middle of the road presentation here, Julian. I need you to just stay on track here.
You you couldn't even think about what you was gonna say. Come on.
Hey, boo boo kitty.
We got Maya.
Hi guys,
Yay!
how goes it?
It goes. What happened to your glasses?
I've been wearing them all day, like they're blue light glasses, but sometimes I just get tired of wearing them.
Those glasses are dope though. I like them. I like them.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. I don't know what happened to Quan. Quan was here, and then he tipped out. Oh, also Mario be in a second, so we'll get in on that. Or we'll catch up with Mario when he gets a chance to get in. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Started off. First of all, everybody who's coming in right now, please make sure that as soon as you come in, you go ahead and click that like button. Do not wait to click the like button. Go ahead and click it right now. So I don't have to add through the whole broadcast. Also, please make sure that you go over to the YouTube page if you're watching us. See, there go my camera again. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the network. If you're watching this on Facebook, though, go to YouTube and subscribe to the network. All right, this man went to a brick wall.
That's why he left, because he wanted to find a sweet background picture. That's what he was.
Nah, my internet drop.
Yeah, I do your internet drop. We said something. Everybody, there go Quan. There you go.
Hey y'all,
right.
if you watch Talk That Talk, we got a fun coming together so we can get Quan updated to 200 megabit per second, because that 10 ain't talking about nothing.
Let's go ahead and get this thing. See, I don't know what's going on with my camera. My camera's been doing this for the last.
What is happening?
It's been doing it for like the last 3 or 4 episodes, and then I've been on it all day, and then now all of a sudden it just don't work. But it's all good. We're gonna keep moving anyway. So let's go ahead and get it started, kicked off the right way. Did anybody catch any good stuff this weekend? I know the Celebration Bowl was this past weekend. Anybody watch the Celebration Bowl? Dang, Smiths. Nobody watched the Celebration Bowl. Well, then I will just talk about the Jamboree very quickly. And I thought that it was a good presentation on the Celebration Bowl Jamboree between the two organizations, Jackson State and South Carolina State. I think South Carolina did what South Carolina does, and I think Jackson State did what Jackson State does. And that's why I'm gonna leave it. All right, but I guess nobody else watched it, so I'm not gonna talk about it all day. All right. Anybody else catch up or anything good that happened this past weekend?
I ain't catch nothing from this weekend, man, but I caught a really interesting and good interview yesterday, man, with what Meet Me on the 50 was doing with Dr. Taylor, man, or Kendrick. I don't know. Is he Dr. Taylor?
What?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't know. I think he's just Kendrick Taylor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know him. I've never had an opportunity to meet that brother. But it was just good to hear some insight, man, from how he thinks. And I think that's a really interesting thing. So shout out to Meet Me on the 50. Shout out to Dr. Taylor at Southern. And it's also interesting, man, because there were a lot of perspectives that I think we share, here on the show. And I think there's a lot of perspectives that are very eye-opening and insightful to see how, other people think, man. I thought it was great. So kudos to those two gentlemen, man, and keep doing it. What's in the best interest of our people and the culture, man.
Yeah. Did anybody else happen to watch that interview yesterday? Quan or Maya, did I happen to catch that interview yesterday on Meet Me on the 50? Okay. So I do want to say that it was definitely a great interview, and I do agree that there were a lot of sentiments, and I know me and you discussed it, but there are a lot of sentiments that Kendrick Taylor shared that were kind of more or less online with a lot of the things that we've said on the show specifically. One of the things that, or one of the questions that I know that me and you talked about last night was, it's really interesting how Kedrick Taylor shared some of the same, thoughts and views. However, it comes off when he says it, it's like, oh man, he's absolutely right. Whereas when you said, oh dog, you terrible for the culture, he don't know what he talking about. He trash. And so I know that one of the conversations that we had last night was, it's not necessarily what he's saying, but it's the person who's saying it. And so I don't know. Sean asked what was said last night that
There
were
were
very similar.
he was a lot of great things, from wanting his band to be a great band and what that expectation is from them, to just overall how he thinks about music and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, I had some different opinions on certain things, but at the end of the day, the thing that stuck out to me the most that he said is what we've been saying on this show since the beginning. As black folks, we should be in this together. Like it shouldn't be one of those situations that where every time I see another band, I want to kill them or I have to dominate them. Like that is a unhealthy relationship between our band programs. I think where a lot of, I guess, my pushback comes from is, you know, the same way that is true, we also have to be able to hold our people accountable in the moment. Like we know that there's a lot of instances where, maybe fans or members of our bands, it's been many times like we got joked on at Prairie View because we held our people accountable, and it pops up every year. It's a big joke every year, but it's what I was talking about on the last show. What there has to be a line of what's acceptable and unacceptable. So the trumpet section takes a picture and posts it online of them acting like they're peeing on somebody's bus. Like, how is that moving the culture forward? You know what I'm saying? So I think, and we made them go apologize in uniform. So I think there was a lot of positive that came out of that conversation. And those two brothers, man, they seem like they're both very sharp. They're both members of the culture. So I think it came off as authentic. But I think we have to have a space where it's okay to have dissenting opinion and then not become personal. Like that. I think that's my biggest issue with a lot of what I see online, especially with some of my comments. Oh, he must have been a fourth trumpet player. Oh, okay. Whatever you say, as if that's an insult too. Like only, like you have to have lower trumpet parts so you can have a section sound, but that's a whole nother conversation. But, being able to disagree and it not be personal, and also being able to have a dissenting opinion to help move the culture forward. Everybody can't assume that every band is the best just because they like the band. It's okay to be critical of something to help it move forward and to love it. I love the Spartan Legion. I will always, love the people I was in the Legion with. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to get online and bash my band, but in private conversations, we have a lot of things where we would like to see the Legion grow. But at the end of the day, the Legion's a great band. Southern University is a great band. Jackson State, all these bands are great bands. So that's what I was saying, Sean, when I said some of the positive things he was saying. That brother had a lot to say. He also had some things he didn't agree with. And it sounds like both of them didn't agree with. And it sounds like some of those things may have come off this show. But hey, that's part of being in a great culture is that you can have dissenting opinions. We all can't just be a monolith. So, yeah.
All right, bet. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get the show started. I was about to say something bad. I was about to say Maya up there petting her kitty. Oh, my bad. All right. Anyway, let's keep the show going, man. Everybody, welcome to Talk That Talk, where we have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversations about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Please make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the network. Also, as soon as you come in, go ahead and click that like button. All right. Also, if you're going to subscribe to the network on YouTube, make sure that you turn on notifications so that way you can be updated on everything that we do. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. Let's get our first question out there. And it's actually going to be somewhat in line with what you were talking about already. Um, so I did catch that interview last night. Rick, you caught that interview last night, obviously. And so one of the questions that I had um, that kind of derived from that was, does having a difference in opinion means I'm not connected to the culture? Does having a difference in opinion mean I'm not connected to the culture? Rick, since you kind of started off earlier, go ahead and kick this one off, bro.
I don't think it means that, but I think it's always assumed that way. But I don't think it means when having a difference of opinion. I think it's having a difference in popular opinion. All right. I think that there are a lot of people that are comfortable just saying band A, B, or C is the best. Just I not one. I would be. I'm waiting for people to pull this clip up where I say any of those bands were the worst bands and all. I've never said that. I've actually said on numerous occasions that I appreciate a lot of what these bands do. But I think that anytime you have a dissenting opinion or something that goes against what the group think is, I think it's easy to be assumed that you don't know what you're talking about because you don't agree with everybody else. Just to be very, very transparent and clear, I've had a lot of conversations over these last 10 years as a college professor with a lot of our band directors. I know it can be tough from hearing things from outside the culture too, so I understand that part. But I'm talking about band directors that stand in front of bands every day. And these are the conversations that happen behind closed doors. There were a lot of instances just over the last couple of weeks dealing with this whole video being posted in these groups that, it became, like I said, it became personal. Oh man, this guy don't know what he's talking about. And then of course it became, okay, let's insult him. So instantly I'm the N word. I'm everything in the world, when how we talk to each other and disrespect each other. But I think the thing, and I said this on the last show, that really, really made me upset was the fact that they say, "Oh, this brother, he don't care about the culture. He don't care about his people. He always trying to bring it. Why do black people always try to bring black people down? Crabs in the barrel mentality." When we think about like old, let's talk about 30, 40, 50 years ago when like you're dealing with how we as a people got to where we are today. It's always having high expectations and setting goals that we should always try to reach for. When I grew up in Portsmouth, I was growing up around people that weren't doing the type of things that we are all doing now. And I think it's so easy to always attack when we don't agree with something. I have never said on this show that I don't want to hear people's disagreements. Actually, quite contrary. We put the link up every week for people to come in here and tell us why we're wrong and so forth. And we rarely get people to come in because it's easier to sit in those internet groups and be internet gangsters and, all these things in those groups because it's usually groupthink in those groups. It's usually groupthink when you post online, and those people won't actually fight you back. And then when people actually do push back, well, then the whole group attacks. So I think anything that goes against popular opinion and popular culture comes off to some people as being against the culture. When in all actuality, it's wanting to see the culture better. I have never said anything negative about HBCU bands. I think that HBCU bands have an absolute place in the overall lexicon of band. At the end of the day, a lot of these big schools are trying to copy what we're doing. It's always been that way. Even when you look at like old school drum corps, they were doing what we were doing at the HBCU level. The only difference is they started to change, and ours looks exactly the same. They even brought that up on the show last night. And I've said that so many times on this show, every field show, you already know what you're about to see. That's why I love what Gary is doing at A&T. They're trying to do something different. So I think that at the end of the day, it's okay to be critical. It's okay to want better for something without having to insult or question somebody's thinking or motives because you disagree with what they say. And I'll say it again: come on the show, tell me how I'm wrong. Anything I say that y'all don't like, tell me how I'm wrong, and we can talk about it. So that's it.
Maya, does having a difference in opinion mean I'm not connected to the culture?
No, I wouldn't agree with that. I do, however, think that the inability to value opinion or difference in opinion, I think that is what creates the disconnect. Um, from my perspective, I think being connected to the culture means being connected to community, um, and which we know it takes a village. um, to be a part of community. That means different sectors. That's the epitome of different opinions, different perspectives, good, bad, and ugly. And I think that is what is the end all be all and the foundation for what it takes to be able to quote unquote be connected to culture or even be the substantial definition or meaning of culture. So for those who have a different opinion, I think that it should be welcomed. I think that for those who get it, welcome it, because again, that's how you build. There will be no difference in bands. There would be no swag. There would be no MEAC. There would be no band culture if there was not a so and so difference of opinion. And a difference in opinion could go um, many different ways. A difference in interpretation, the way that I interpret music or the way I interpret band in general is what makes my band different from band B or band C and band D. So of course, I mean, in my opinion, no, having a difference of opinion does not mean that you're not connected. Having the inability to be able to understand, partake, and take heed to what's going on and adapt or be a part of the conversation is what disconnects you from the culture itself.
Quan, does having a difference in opinion mean I'm not connected to the culture?
No. Question: am I lagging, bro?
No, you good.
Okay. So to answer your question, no. I think one of our problems is we don't listen to understand. We listen to defend. And I think in life that is a place of maturity, honestly, that a lot of us or just people in general have not reached as of yet. Um so Maya touched on something. She said interpretation. When you're looking at something, it can be the same exact thing, but if you ask five people the same question, every single person will literally have a different perspective of that same thing that everybody saw. Um, for example, when you're looking at a field show, one person, if their thing is percussion, they'll be looking at the percussion section. If you look at another person, their interpretation or their insight may be dealing with dance or whatnot. I think all opinions are welcome. The issue for me, what comes to part is you're being critical of a program without critiquing. Because understand, critique shows grows and glows. Critique is just not bashing, and I think that's something that we do bad as in our culture. That's number one. Number two, I also believe that one thing that we fail to do is we're sometimes loyal to a fault to a particular organization. Meaning, I'll just use this for example. I march for Prairie View, but I'm from Louisiana, so I have an appreciation for Southern. I have an appreciation for Jackson State. But that does not mean that I cannot look at Prairie View and say, well, I do feel like they should correct X, Y, and Z. But you can, from a mature place, not bash those particular students and staff. You can say, well, I just feel like they should do this. And that's your opinion and you keep it pushing. But the problem is the internet, like we've been stating, soon as you say your opinion and you can give the specifics of why you feel like this should be corrected, well, then you hating. Because a lot of those people sometimes, not all of them, but sometimes can't even articulate why they're disagreeing with you. So those are the things that's honestly that we're faced with. And to a degree, some of it is just plain old ignorance. So, I mean, difference of opinions honestly should make the culture better. Difference of opinions should make bands better overall. Because if you look at FAMU and then Southern, you should have an appreciation for both of those bands, regardless if you march for them or not. You should honestly just have a respect for their band pageantry overall, as well as it goes for the other schools in the MEAC. What is it? CIAA, whatever, SIAC, whatever it is. But
SEAC, CIAA.
yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
I think you got them all.
yeah, like you should have a respect for them all. But again, like I said before, we're loyal to a fault to where it's like I'm a rock with this band. Even when that band has a bad day, I'm not gonna say it. I mean, we just gotta be honest with ourselves. But it's a sense of maturity. But honestly, my last point is this: when confusion and drama and mess sells, that's what people gonna put out. I mean, think about it. We have whole groups that's talking about, real HBCU or real in the swag where it's like you're not building up that program. It's like all you doing is shit talking about them because that's not the program that you marched in. So
All right, Chief. What's up, bro?
What up, though, fam? How y'all doing, man?
Man, we good. We good.
what's
I'm
good, bro?
over here trying to get my camera straight, and
Oh, I hear
then
you.
yeah, I'm stuck, but I'm talking still.
I'm
So
about to
we
say you
good.
got that lag again, bro.
Yeah, man. Like I said earlier, I can't get it, man, straight. It's been 3
Is it the
weeks,
background?
huh?
Is it the background?
Oh no, it's not the background. It's been straight all day, but then
Okay.
as soon as the show starts, it's tight. But
Oh.
since you're coming in, man, you want to get on this topic. Let's see. Does having a difference in opinion mean I'm not connected to the culture?
Oh, man, I'm glad that you asked that question, man. I am really tired of us, and I mentioned this the other day when we were talking about this as it related to let me take this out of my ear. As it related to the stuff Rick was talking about as far as mass bands and stuff like that. Like, you know, it's okay to have difference of opinion, man. Now I understand if somebody is deliberately trying to do something negative to affect the culture. That's different. You know what I'm saying? But just being able to have a difference of opinion, man. We're not a monolithic culture, bro. Everybody has their own feelings and thoughts and ways they view things. And I think it's dangerous for us to get into this place where um I think we're doing this in mass, pop culture, just American general culture. Is like, whenever you don't agree with what everybody else is saying that they agree with, then you become everybody wants to just come down on you. And I think that's a bad place to be in, man. We're supposed to be able to have a dialogue about differences so that we can find a way to meet the needs of everybody, and everybody is not the same. So yeah, I think that having a difference in opinion, it doesn't mean you're not connected to the culture at all. In most cases. Now there are some cases the difference of opinion are coming from a lack of understanding. If you don't understand the culture because you weren't a part of the culture, then you're coming from an ignorant standpoint, because ignorant just being like you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And so if you're speaking on something you've never experienced, and that's coming from a whole different place. So I have an HBCU culture, but I don't know what it's like to march in this way. You know what I mean? I'm from up north, but I don't know what it's like to be from Texas or from Louisiana or something like that. So there are certain things that you should open your ears before you open your mouth in general, when it comes to most stuff. So that's my little thing. What up, Rick? What up, though, bro?
What up, though? Hey, but Chief, here's the other part, bro. And this is the part I think we need to really address. A lot of people's opinion are ill-informed. Like a lot of people that were upset about that video didn't go back and watch the 30-minute video. They watched 30-second clips, which are made to be provocative, and they formed an opinion off of that.
Blame Julia.
Right. Well, no, Julian did the job. Right, but Julian.
I'm about to say don't blame me because the clip that went circulating was not the clip that I cut. The
Of
clip
course
that I
not.
cut
I know that.
actually had more to it. But yeah, go
But
ahead.
the thing about it is, it's always from a position of ignorance. And I know some
Right.
people don't know what that, whatever. It's always from that position.
Like, man, you saying I'm stupid, dog.
Right.
You always got to preface when you say ignorant and say
Right.
it means not knowing, not about.
Right.
We use the word incorrectly a lot of times in the culture. But anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, man, it's like we always want to get mad about something. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like our like it's so like Quan said. That's when you got some mess going on, you're gonna have 100% attendance. When we were on here talking about all these beautiful things that are happening in the culture, didn't make none of these clips. You know what I'm saying? When your band raised that $3,000, not so
Right.
much. I wonder how many emails and Facebook groups discussed that. You know, when we were broadcasting live from the show that I've been working on all my career. You know what I'm saying? Like none of that stuff. But as soon as some ignorance pop off where somebody feel, upset about something, that's all automatically what it is. So, I'm moving forward. I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. I'm not going to compromise my musicality, to make some people happy. I'm just not. There was not one part of this show, Chief, where we said we want every band to sound the same.
Right.
I know that's the narrative that's being pushed. That's not what we're saying. And, but while every band has their own style and all that stuff, music is music. I know that's hard for some people to realize, but I'm going to continue to say it till I'm blue in the face. You could play with whatever timbre you choose to play with. If it's uniform across your band, cool. But concert F and tune is concert F. If it's cold outside, tune. I mean,
Right.
like we will make every excuse for something to justify behaviors. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, it's okay to expect better. When I get my own band, I expect to hear from everybody how my band can be better. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be in that band room to achieve the sound that I want to have. As an
Right.
associate director now, I've done that. And when I'm a head director, I will do the same thing. I think I want people like you, Mario, musicians that I respect to say, hey, Rick, man, y'all did great, but hey, did you hear how
Right.
out of tune your woodwinds are? You know what, Mario? You right, bro. Let me pull my woodwinds in, and hopefully when I get my band, you with me. So you know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
you are. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Right, right. But yeah, man. But that's I want that because I respect your musicianship, and B, even if you don't know me, you know that I care about my people and I care about what's best for our people. All the people that do know me, they know that. And all these, it is what it is, man. We can be better. We can expect better. I don't want every band to sound the same. I don't want every band to be the same. But certain concepts of music are what they are. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I am.
And that brings up a thought. You kind of brought that on that made me think about something that kind of was alluded yesterday in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you guys this question. When we talk about pedagogy of like music pedagogy, what, shaping a sound, blah, 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 all that great stuff, is it considered being, I'll put it this way, why is it considered being or moving towards the European style of music? Because you want a clarity of sound, or you want that pedagogy, or you're looking for that pedagogy to be correct?
I think it comes so much so from the fact, Julian, that there is a certain sound that people have in their mind now that's associated with HBCU band culture, and that is no longer FAMU. I'm sorry, it's no longer that type of sound. Fam is a great band. I love their sound. In my opinion, Young and the Restless is the song of the year. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to actual performance practice. But I think that there is a certain sound associated with band culture. I mean, and let's be honest, the SWAC runs HBCU bands. I'm from the MEAC and all these other conferences. We're all cute. When it comes to band
Right.
HBCU band culture, that's coming out the SWAC. So people can take it for what they want it to be. At the end of the day, that's the sound that people expect. And every band in the SWAC doesn't sound the same. But there has to be room for those other bands that don't sound the same to stop being considered trash. Like I like the sound that Florida A&M plays with. It's balanced, it's blended, it's clear. I can hear all the parts. But when I'm hearing a rap song, I want to hear some Southern. I want to hear some Jackson, because that energy is going to get me in the mood of that particular song. And I've said that repeatedly on this show. Southern is the rap kings. And can't Jackson, I think Jackson had an amazing year, but they when it comes to those type of songs, man, I think that's their sound is what people expect. And if you don't play with that type of sound, and if you talk about any of these other things in the midst of that sound, I think it can be misconstrued, excuse me, as like that white mess. Oh man, drum corps, whatever. The fact of the matter is, those ensembles are just as loud. They are. So I think that's what it is, man. I think it's more so just the sound that people expect from a HBCU style band.
I just will add one piece to what Rick was just saying, and to answer your question, Julian. I think it goes back. I mean, I guess I did, because I agree with what Rick is saying, but I had to go back a little bit. Traditional European hymns that were given and kind of forced upon people that were enslaved in America. They took those songs, learned the language through those spaces, and then made them their own and created um, alternative versions of tunes through that sphere. And so what happens is, starting from that space all the way moving forward, there was always noticeable difference between the rhythmic and um, almost melismatic virtuosity of African American singing and approach to music versus some of the more traditional Bach sounds that you would have in traditional SATB. Now, obviously, you can go and find different things, and when you start talking about romantic composers and stuff like that, but I'm just talking about the American sphere, like as far as music in our country. You think about rock and roll; it was done a certain way, then taken, borrowed, and done something else. So it's almost like, I think with HBCUs, it's like I think some people want to feel like this is our space to be all of ourselves without having to feel the criticism of people from within our own world talking about the things that we do. However, at the same point, it's like, so does that mean that there can't be improvement though? Does that mean that there can't be areas that could be, refined a little bit? But then the question becomes, refined to what? Because then the conversation changes. So I think it comes down, from my perspective, it comes down to, like when you said a G is a G, in tune is in tune, and we can't go away from that. But I think some people feel, if it's going to be between me being perfectly in tune and me keeping the style, I'd rather keep the style than worry about the pitch. And I think it really comes down to some simplistic types of things, because if that wasn't the case, then you wouldn't have people playing out of balance, throwing off chords, overplaying the band in different spaces. You wouldn't have people trying to outdo each other in certain areas. That comes from, to me, a history of our culture going back to American slavery. So I know that may be a way deeper kind of perspective, and I'm leaving out pieces that are important, but I don't want to hog all the time. But I do think it's something that goes back to the idea of how we view music from the European perspective, traditional European perspective, versus the African American approach to music.
But Mario, you brought something up that's really important, and Quan and Maya, if y'all want to get in, please do. But you brought up something that's very important, and I think, and it's something that I did glean from that conversation last night that I internalized. Individuality. You know what I'm saying? Like that concept of individuality. My sound is mine. Your sound is yours. I definitely am thinking differently about that particular part of the conversation. But like I said, it all goes back to me to, yeah, you can be an individual as far as this band sounds the way it does. That's great. But still have basic music concepts. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you want to do. Not one time on this show have we said, I want every band to be the same. I'm going to keep saying that. I like the fact that Alabama State was able to do what they did this year, man.
I was just about to mention them. I was about to mention them too, or PV and the stuff that they were playing. That the way that they were playing, you still heard the swag, but it was just done in a way that wasn't sloppy. Like, you know what I mean?
And that's my thing. Why are we saying that Alabama State was so much better this year? Because this year they actually cared about the way they. And I don't want to speak against any other Alabama State band. I don't know that band program. I have some friends that marched in Alabama State band. This is no way an indictment against those bands. But the reason why everybody in the community was hype about Alabama State this year is because they actually sounded better. They had the same energy that they've had years past. They continue to be swag, but they actually just sounded better. Like there was a timbre change in that band that was appealing. And when they played slow songs, they actually played with a lot of shaping. Like those things are universal.
And
There
what's
are other
funny about that, even in that uncut group, people were accepting this. People were acknowledging the different Alabama states. So it's not like people can't hear it. They were acknowledging it. You heard in different areas where there is this traditional swag sound that people were acknowledging a better version of Alabama State. People acknowledged it. So how can we, in one breath, acknowledge that a band tried to refine their sound and clean up some things here and there, but then as soon as you talk about it on a larger sphere, it's like, oh, that's that white mess. It's like, come on, man. Like, so like I said, you had some times this year where you said you liked Southern. You had times this year where you liked Jackson. And they weren't playing like DCI. They were playing like Southern and Jackson. You just said when I wasn't blowing all the most amazing smoke up their ass to talk about how great they were, then all of a sudden I became public enemy number one. And it's like, that's a part of the issue. We can't be unapproachable when it comes to like refining ourselves as individuals, as band programs, as schools, whatever. How come on, man?
So
You hit me with the Maya joint? Oh,
I just got one comment, and I'm gonna tell you why. And, you know, we have a young lady, a young woman on the phone. This is the truth. Dick riders. Just bottom line, what it is. You have some people who are just loyal to a fault of a particular organization. Like, not being ugly, I feel like Prairie View, UAPB, and now FAMU, they're kind of like they're like the stepchildren of the SWAT, quote unquote. It's like somebody's always castigating them for whatever reason. But you're gonna have these particular tier of schools where no matter what they can do, right or wrong, people will always ride with them, no matter what. And that's just that cult following that the SWAC has, like, period. Or the loyalists to those particular universities. That's just the bottom line with it, bro. I think what we all said, I agree with. And like you said, Rick, what Prof Taylor said yesterday, some of those things go into the same, philosophy that you have. But the difference is he's the band director of Southern. That's the only difference. Both of y'all are men, both of y'all are African American, both of y'all are Greek, both of y'all have y'all, credentials. Only difference is he's the band director of Southern. And it's kind of like it's no difference from like you saying you're an outsider because quote unquote you did March DCI. You're from the MIA, which is whack because your knowledge and expertise from everybody on the show is still valid. I ain't heard that one before. So
what the hell?
Yeah, I know. So but but nevertheless though, like he said it. And because he said it, shit, it holds a different weight than you.
And rightfully so though, right? Rightfully so, right, Quan? Like, I mean, if we want to be real, like I said, I don't know that brother. I've never met him before in my life. I wish him much success. He came in on a tough situation, and he's done the best with that, man. I kudos to him. But rightfully so. He, his band is doing great things. But I think at the end of the day, it's okay to like other bands too. It's okay to be able to appreciate them for what they do great, and then also say, but also that ballad that FAMU played, or that dance that the ladies from Prairie View did was great, and the music was great with it. And shout out to Sean, year 10. Congratulations!
I was gonna get to that, man. God dang! All right, golly, man.
Yeah, man.
No, what you just said, Rick, is what I was mentioning the same point I made, bro.
Yeah, bro.
I said I can like hip hop. I can like, I don't really dig country too much, but I can like, all different types of Latin American music. I can like, jazz, classical. It doesn't take anything from anybody if me liking different things. And I think that's a part of the beauty of the diversity of our personalities. You can like different things. It's okay, everybody. Like
and Mario, the example of jazz came up in a lot of conversations, in that program, in the uncut group. Here's the thing about jazz, and you brought it up too, right, Mario? I remember you bringing it up too. Yeah,
right.
People bring up how jazz is different, right? Jazz was different, but if you went to the Cotton Club to see Duke Ellington, they were playing with a beautiful sound.
Right.
In
That was
addition,
the cleanest
right.
band.
His band was sharp.
Clean
He had
band.
everything you could think. He had Cat Anderson up there screaming. He had what's his name? Snooki Young was in one of his sections. Like all
ain't
these
ain't nobody leading the section like Johnny Hodges.
Right, Johnny Hodges on sax. Like, come on, bro. Like, there was different timbres. But then you can go across town to Harlem, right? And you can go see Chick Webb's band, and they in there swinging, and it's the most black thing you could think of. But guess what? They played with good timbre. Why is that negative? Like, I've heard Chick Webb's band. Like, I'm not being bougie, y'all. The expectation is the expectation.
I want to put a thought out there real quick.
Go ahead, June. Go ahead, bro.
And it's something that I've been thinking about maybe about for the past week or so. Do you, because first of all, we all know that Dr. Pennell and Mr. Knighton, all of them, you know, all the old band directors in the SWAC specifically that we idolize, we're good friends. Like, they were connected with one another. I always have this thought. I've been having this thought for about a week or so ago. Do you ever think that they all came into a room and said, man, y'all motherfuckers were just blowing y'all ass off at us? Or were they saying, hey man, you guys, y'all got us this week, you know, that the way y'all sound was real good, it was balanced, you know, you might want to start with a better attack and release? Do you think that they were just having those kind of conversations as well? Or were they saying, hey man, y'all was beating the shit off of us, all right, good night, we'll drink and have a good day?
Well, it depends on what band you're talking about and how much cognac was involved. I'm being dead ass.
I know you are.
Conversation, right.
That's why I'm
conversation
laughing.
May start very academic, but it may end with motherfuckers arguing. So
but my point is, like you said, it may start academic. My point is that at some point, I think that they were even having the same types of conversations that we're having. And I'm not saying that nobody else is having them. But what I'm saying is we've gone so far. I personally believe that we've gone so far that we can't have an opinion. I think that it's now looked down on us to have an opinion that's outside of the norm, and that we all exist in this echo chamber. So just my thought, you know, wanted to close that out, man, before we keep moving on. Any final thoughts though, before we move on? All right, bet. Well, then, if you just tuned in, welcome everybody to Talk That Talk, where we have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversations about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Please make sure that as soon as you come in, that you go ahead and click that like button. All right. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can go over to the YouTube and subscribe to the network as well. And please make sure that you turn on notifications. All right. Let's move on to the next topic that actually filters in somewhat to what we were already talking about. So please, somebody, and first of all, or second of all, big shout out to Sean. I want to make sure I put it out there. Big shout out to Sean for 10 years at Prairie View A&M University as the Black Fox director. She's been doing an awesome job. So kudos to her. I've known her since I think I was 19, 20. But you know, even just watching her, you know, with that program and watching that program come along, and even having Maya on here, who's been a product of that program and a product of Miss Sean as well. So we want to go ahead and give you your flowers while you're here, and we love you. So once again, big shout out to Sean. All right.
Well, Dr. Zachary and that whole staff too. Y'all too. If that's the case.
What?
I say you guys as well. Dr. Zachary, Prof. Hopkins, all y'all. That whole staff from 10 years ago, bro.
Thank you.
Well, goddamn, you just.
I mean, the only reason. I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, I'm pretty sure Rick appreciates it too. I think the only reason why we're saying is because she's still there. You know what I'm saying? Still working with the girls. Whereas, you know, in 17, that was me and Rick's last year. But yeah, I appreciate it.
Still, bro. Yeah, y'all was laying down foundation. Real talk.
All right, respect.
You know, Quan, it's funny before you get to it.
I was 18, Sean. I don't remember being. I thought I was 19, 20. But all right.
Hey, Quan, you know it's funny, man. She posted a video of the 2012 band.
Yeah,
and And I was listening to it, and I was like, you can really hear the beginning of what we were trying to establish in there. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff in there. It was 100 people on the field. You know what I'm saying? But just, where they are now and where they've come, man, and what you guys were when you were in the band. It's a great band program, and I wish they could get more of the kudos instead of everybody hating on them because, whatever reason. But here we go.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving, man. And somebody correct me on this if I'm wrong. I think I got this correct. So there are 107 historically black colleges and universities. 107 historically black colleges and universities. Now, out of all of those historically black colleges and universities, not all of them have a band program. Not every single one has a band program. So my next question is, are we expecting too much from our HBCUs, university band programs? Are we expecting too much from our HBCU university band programs? Quan, you know you
be looking around like, don't be calling me, don't call me.
You be the kid in the classroom. I hope you don't call on me, man. God dang, I ain't ready.
I'm gonna just say I'm gonna use the bathroom next time. Expecting, elaborate a little bit more from me. Expecting too much, like what? Like entertainment?
What I'm saying is, just like kind of piggybacking off of the conversations that we were just having, right? And kind of listening and going towards some of the conversation that I heard last night between Eddie and Kedrick Taylor, where we put a lot of it should be this way and it sounds this way, and maybe we should think more about pedagogy, blah 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 blah, instead of or more or less even looking at the quote unquote, like I asked earlier, just a thought earlier, the quote unquote European standard of how we look at music and education. So are we putting, or are we expecting too much from our university bands?
Yes and no. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just happy that I clicked back in. I'm probably gonna click back out in like a couple seconds.
No, so for me, yes and no. Yes, if you're looking at it, I think HBCU band directors, Trap Set Player just said, like, we make $1 out of 15 cents with some of the resources that we have. It's kind of like the mindset is like, we know how to make it happen regardless, right? With a little budget or no budget at all, like, we make it happen. In regards of building character, yes. In regards of taking young kids from certain specific neighborhoods and turning them into better men and women, absolutely. When I said, the part that I said no to is a standard is a standard. And so if you're blessed with an organization and the specific institution is saying, hey, this is what I've called you to do, whatever standard of that band director is, that's the standard that you need to meet and continuously push towards on a daily basis. I don't think no one gets to that point in their professional career and then just decides, well, I'm gonna be lazy at that point. I think your standard should be your standard for whatever vision that you have, and then you push forward. But this is a funny question because it's yes and no. So that's all I got, honestly, for this question.
All right, Chief.
Yeah, I'm gonna be cutting in. My daughter's kind of moving around a little bit. So but yeah, I would say it depends on a couple things. I first thing that popped out to me when I read the question was the we part. Who is we? Are we expecting? Are we talking about music majors? Are we talking about general fans? Are we talking about who we talking about? So who would be your audience, targeted audience, when you say we, Julian?
Target audience, I would say we the fans, I would say we the fans and the music educators.
Well, then that's two different answers. So the fans, I think they get a lot of what they want because most fans are sometimes ignorant to what it takes to even build the program to present. They're maybe ignorant to what the process is to actually run a band program off the very limited resources that are there in those aspects. But then when you talk about music education, I don't think we are expecting too much for our programs to teach us proper pedagogy, to teach drill writing, to teach band budgeting, to teach things and do things that help you, kind of step into the next phase of your life as an educator. So no, you're not expecting too much of a pay that you're paying for education. No, you're paying them to provide a service, and if you are a studious, young person that is going to class, paying attention, doing your part, even reaching out to resources outside of the classroom, there becomes a part that is the responsibility of the university to provide a certain type of understanding of where the gaps are, what you may be missing. So I agree with a lot with Quan said. That was just a little bit of an add-on in terms of
I agree.
that other part.
Ma, you look so studious. You got your little book up, got the glasses on. Look at you, jinkies. You don't know if you don't know what I'm talking about. Don't worry about it. All right, Maya, you got it.
First off, I am not that young. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know Velma. Thanks so much. Two, love you too, Miss Sean. I didn't see your comment when you first wrote that. Okay, I was just writing notes because I seemingly forget everything. I guess I'm gonna take it a different way. I would say I think that when I say we, I don't know. Never mind. I won't say we because I don't know exactly who that includes. But in terms of withholding tradition year over year, I think that we do have a large expectation or some, whether that's alumni base, whether that's band heads, whether those people who have an opinion, whether those are internet gangsters or whatever. I think that we can have too large of expectations in that regard, year over year, expecting things to, I guess, streamline. And I think that speaks on the interpretation of what we were talking about earlier. I think in terms of saying these HBCU bands were founded or were established in 19 blah blah, but you expect for it to be the same all the way now to 2021, whether that's for good or for bad. I think that that's not necessarily a realistic expectation, especially if you don't have the same leadership, you don't have the same administration, you don't have to have the same um, what do you call this thing? The people that view, audience base, all of those things. I think that that's unrealistic. I think even when it comes to transitions in band, I think that trying to have someone be at a mountain level when they're only on a valley level is unrealistic as well. Let's say the implementation, well, TSU, that's a really good example, right? So they've done a tremendous job with the transition that was placed upon them. But I mean, some people may have thought that they would have done the things that they did, and some people didn't really see much for them. But I think it's unrealistic to say like, no, they're an anomaly because they made a mountain out of a valley. But to think realistically, more times than not, you're not going to be able to exceed or meet those expectations so quickly. And I think sometimes that's something that we have to be abreast of when we try and hold or when we see different bands or different programs in itself. What else did I write down here? I think that our alumni bases can also expect too much from our bands, especially when they're not willing to put forth any resources, whether that's a helping hand, whether that's getting on the horn, or whether that's coming back in to just say, hey, I'm proud of you, whether that's allocating resources, whether that's being a part of alumni association, whatever the case may be. I think that those are also areas of opportunity that we can be of better support so that we can be able to, when we want to have those larger expectations, we can put our money where our mouth is and say, well, this is what I'm doing to be able to push that forward.
Close the book and drop the pen. All right, Rick, are we expecting too much from our university bands?
I think the answer is yes, but I think it's yes for two reasons. Well, two separate reasons. Maya touched on it briefly. I want to expand upon it, and that's the I'm not even going to say alumni because some of these people aren't alumni. I'm going to just say past marching members of a lot of these band programs. Dr. Taylor said something last night that I've been saying for years, and because I know it to be the case. Mario, Julian, I know y'all remember this. Dr. Sanford wanted to change the style of the flags at Norfolk State. He thought it was very militaristic. He wanted them to be more color guard esque in nature, being able to do smooth moves and stuff like that. Long story short, them women came together and said, "You change it if you want to. We gonna pull every cent that we have out of out of that doggone band." And the thing about it is that at NSU, our alumni actually does contribute to that band. They contribute, with the alumni band, money, resource, everything. So that would be a huge blow. How can we expect all these things? These we want our bands to continue to flourish. We want our bands to be great, but we won't allow our bands to evolve. Like I just that is something that is foreign to me, and it's weird because in the grand scheme of things, no, I'm not even gonna say that because I know I'll get cussed out at homecoming. But these bands will go on with or without us, y'all. They will. You know what I'm saying? As alumni, as past members of these bands, the PV gonna be PV, Norfolk State gonna be Norfolk, and so forth. So that's the first part. Yes, we expect too much because we want to be able to come back to a game for nostalgia. We want to be able to say, I did that when I was in the band too, especially if it's good. All these kids that are in PV's band now, the hurricane thing is new. We came up with that for Honda. So all the kids from 2015 on will be able to say, yeah, I was in that band that came up with that, especially if it continues to go on even after Dr. Zachary was there. All you old heads, I did the PV role, and they bought the PV role back. You know what I'm saying? So you can look at that. Every time Norfolk gets on the field, me and Mario and Julie can get out there for pregame right now because we already know. Richard, and we right into it, and we know exactly what to do, right? You know what I'm saying? So we have to be able to let our bands evolve. But the second part of that, of why we expect too much from these bands, is because we know that the bands are the lifeblood of a lot of these universities. Like they bring the most attention to the university. I don't hear many people talking about Southern football, especially since their coach has come to Norfolk State. I haven't heard much about that. But the Human Jukebox is in everything. They're in commercials. They're in California. They're in all these places putting on for the city. So I think that at the end of the day, to put that burden on a person that's making less than, I don't know, I'll give, when I worked at Prairie View, I made less than an office assistant when I first got there. Many, actually. But you expect this person to be there from 9 in the morning until 12 o'clock at night, which I did almost every single day my first couple of years. Come on, man. So I think that the expectation, especially for a band director that wants an excellent band, is going to put the extra hours in to have an excellent band across the board, not just university level, all band directors. The expectation is high. I don't think musically the expectation or performance based is high. Sometimes it's not high enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to have high expectations for our groups. Once again, we don't want them all to sound the same, but certain things are what they are. So I think that, yes, we expect way too much from these programs when it comes to those things. But in other areas, I think we could expect a little bit more. So yeah.
You said something that I want to kind of go into a little bit. You said you have to allow these programs to evolve. What does that look like in HBCU now? What does an HBCU band program look like as it relates to evolution?
Bro, I remember when we didn't do that damn PVU at the beginning of the game. And I remember them emails that we got because we didn't do that entertainment tonight. That's what I'm talking about. I've said this on other posts. I'm sure Dr. Zachary would love to have like a dramatic beginning that starts with the band and surrounding the whole field and then marching in and making this shape that rotates and then going into a huge fanfare. Yeah, that all sounds great. But that huge fanfare better lead you into that PVU to play entertainment at night, or you gonna get emails, everything else. But man, we got emails on a regular basis about what the Black Foxes was wearing.
I remember, bruh.
I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there like,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I'm gonna ask y'all this though.
yeah,
Do you feel it would be an issue if that person was from Prairie View? So hypothetically speaking, if Dr. Lamont Lawhorn was the director of bands and he changed it, being alumni from Prairie View, do you feel like he would get the same flack?
yes, because
Yes, absolutely.
the audience expects it.
Probably worse because you do come from in-house.
Because you are an
They're
alumni.
like, what the fuck are you doing?
Like
I-
Message.
You
I-
should
I
know better.
I
No
guess
State
I'm
plays Message before every dance routine. How does Message fit into anything? But you don't play that doggone Message. All them alumni gonna be in there cussing you out. You are the worst thing since sliced bread. You don't know what you're doing. Like, it's a lot of, every school has those things, man, where people expect it. And I think that I think we would be naive to say, and that's every school. I'm talking about the big school. Let Ohio State not
yeah.
have that tuba dot that I. Man, please, that place would lose their goddamn mind.
Right.
That drum major coming out with it, man. Come on, bro. It's every school. You know what I'm saying? It's an expectation, no matter if it's HBCU or not. So I don't think that's specific to us. I think every school does that. Go ahead,
But
Mark.
needless to say, to answer the question, I think it's unrealistic. It was, what does that look like? It don't look like nothing because it's very. It probably would not happen in a million years because the chance in which you do take to pivot or to change or to implement or evolve. Either it's going to come down from administration, it's going to come down from alumni, it's going to come down from somewhere. You got to be right back to where you started. So I'm not really sure. There are ways to be able to change or make influence or to, kind of sneak some stuff here and there or transition. But on an overall scale, I think that it's unrealistic because, again, everyone has something to say. There's no way that you're going to be able to please anybody while also, well, just period, please anyone. So
in the comments, Brother Jackson, he said, if I was
before you go, Quan, I know Chief has something to say. Go ahead, Chief.
No, go ahead. Finish that out, Quan. Get your comment out. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, good.
He was basically saying if I remove sequence, what would happen? I wouldn't remove sequence, but I would add to it though, being genuine. Because
that's exactly what I was about to say. I would add to what you talking about.
Because our sequence was added parts over the years. Fam Scaly, CCG, our Prof Twilight, messing around. I would add something to that because I am box. So it's like I feel like that cadence is a part of us. Now, would I respectfully consult, honestly, alumni that march in that drum section that I respect? Yeah. But would I really care about their opinion if that's what I wanted to add it and then those kids want to add that? Yeah, we're gonna add it. And that's just what it is because I'm pretty sure when they added one part, people was like, bro, what the hell is this? But it grew on them, and then that became a part of their tradition too. I think honestly, what I've learned on this show, people are really afraid to change traditions when all traditions weren't traditions at one point. And like
right.
And that's the problem of evolution that I see. And no disrespect to any band or any program, but I'm gonna say this. So when I was taking the class by Dr. Zachary on drill writing, he said, I want you to go and inspect and mimic a particular show for Pieware. I had a show from a particular school, and another gentleman had it. He did one from 2018. I did one from 1994. It was the same exact show. The music was different. So how was that evolution? How was that pushing the envelope? That's all I'm saying. And we got to be honest with ourselves about what we're doing.
Quan, I used to teach that in I taught the band director class at PV when I was there. And I used to play videos of certain bands from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, all the way to now. Looked exactly the same. Exactly the same. There was no difference. So much so, like, that you don't really... I don't think people really understand anymore what we're talking about because they're so used to seeing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you go... Innovation to some people is instead of The formation stopping at 8 counts. Oh, we went 12 counts this time and then bounced it. Innovation to me is coming to a show and there not being a dance routine. There being or they're not, or having electronics involved in an HBCU band show. So if I say I'm doing a show, Langston tried this a couple years ago at Honda. They did a Coming to America show, or was it? No, not Langston.
A&T.
No, not that one. It was the one from Philly. Remember they bought Music Soul Child out and all that. Got absolutely no house whatsoever. Lincoln, that's what it was, Lincoln. And so, yeah, man, I think that we've gotten so used to the same thing being presented to us. That's the reason why the stands have really taken off. Because that's really the only place where you see difference. I can tell the difference between Band A, Virginia State, and Norfolk in the stands. But I know what I'm going to get on the field. So I think that at the end of the day, marching band is marching band. We need to focus more on that type of innovation rather than, just being able to put all your energy into this killer arrangement, which is still important. And that's what I used to appreciate so much about Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams rarely wrote for the stands, but we already knew when that drill music got passed out, that was going to be the hardest thing we played all year. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the priorities have shifted. Not necessarily saying it's bad or good. It's just different. So
go ahead. Go.
You haven't spoken yet. Go ahead. You on mute, but okay.
He knew.
Oh no, get your comment. Go ahead.
He was like, "Go ahead."
Okay. Yeah, I'm crazy. So as everything that I did say, actually, I want to flip it. Now that we've been thinking, or now that we've been talking through it, actually, I'm going to contradict everything I just said. Don't do that. Because I think that changing or to the last question, I think it's all in a sense of quote unquote putting your dick on the table. I mean, just to be honest with you, like, I mean, listen, when we go back to everybody that said they wasn't gonna wear skinny jeans, that was wearing tall tees and flooded jean shorts, guess what? They ended up wearing them goddamn skinny jeans and skinny ties or whatever the case may be. You start giving people crumbs, they're gonna take it. When you put your stuff on the table and you said this, no what?
You said people not wearing skinny jeans.
Ain't nobody wearing skinny jeans.
I mean, but you get what I'm saying though. Like we've gone from
you be wearing them skinny
we've gone from past the pants to Taylor fitted pants. But you see what I'm saying though? Like
my daughter laughing. She laughing.
I mean, needless to say, I forgot the baby was right there. I'm so sorry that I said that.
Stop putting meat on the table.
With the girl right there. Like, okay, yes, not everybody, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? I thought I'd never see the day where you get a field show and didn't see the Foxes do no goddamn circle. But guess what? They got there doing it because Miss Shawn stood her ground and she said, in terms of what I see for my vision for this, yeah, you're gonna get you a little piece of it, but there's also a way to be able to salute tradition, but in a different manner. And Brownie, you spoke on it as well. But I think regardless, it's not like these people gonna walk in the band room and do something. They're not gonna boycott the shows. They still gonna be there every week. So whatever you give them, they will adjust. You will adjust to what you're giving within so many words. Yes, I think that my previous statement, some of it still applies, but I do think if we're moving in a different direction, that no, I think the transition just more so saying this is where we are, this is what we're putting forth, and this is my interpretation, this is my vision for my program. This, sit down, shut up, and just look at it. Just give it a chance. And people will start to slowly jump on the bandwagon. Because, I mean, that's really and honestly all it is. The culture, if we want to begin to define it, it starts as a bandwagon, unfortunately.
Okay. Go ahead, Chief. You got it.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think Quan and Maya both touched on some things that I was feeling. Daddy, help me. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on.
Oh, I thought that was a new tag. I was about to say,
no, but my thing is this: if you do something different, it just got to be killing. I think when people, a lot of times, you want to ask stuff and then you don't even commit to it because you're worried about what people are going to say. You kind of got to go, you got to go balls to the wall with it. You got to really commit to whatever it is that you're trying to do. at the same time. So like the question was,
Meat
what does
competition.
right? It does. Like I was thinking that before I said, I was like, "There's random
Balls to the
meat
wall
comments."
and putting your meat on the table. Good Lord. It's an X-rated show today. All right, go ahead, bro.
Anyway, no, but I'm sorry. Hold on. All right. No, but I think the biggest thing for me is that like, what does innovation look like from HBCUs that we've already seen? So like I gave an example. So it comes in small steps, and then you kind of gradually build it. Because we didn't go from long tees to skinny jeans right away. I didn't go over any of that. I didn't wear I had the big t-shirts on, but I didn't do the skinny. I never did the skinny jeans, but I did wear the slim daddies though, like the slim cut, right? So, but that was a gradual movement, and I think if you saw like Jackson State Tiger Run On, they did the Tiger Run On, and then they went into like a swirl, and it went into some other formation and did something totally different. People were like, "Oh, that shit cold!" Like they would be thinking like, "Oh, this is still the tradition, but a twist on the tradition." If you see Norfolk doing the traditional run on, instead of them doing a run on, they came from different sides of the field and then created the same, similar Pokemon formations or whatever. You know what I mean? So if depending on, I guess, the program and what you normally do, if you see things that are kind of a version of their history, but also kind of an innovative spin on it, I think that's the first step. I don't think we're going from 0 to 10. It's like 0 to 2 or 3. And I think that's where you start. I mean, and that's with anybody. You ask people to, with people in general, you ask people to change. People don't change all like super quick overnight. It's a gradual thing. And we are really like rooted in tradition. We talk about schools that were, a pride of our community. So we don't want to change too much because there is a fear of losing ourselves, because so many things in our culture have been stolen and shifted. And so there may be sometimes a fear of the change. I'm not saying that's what I feel, but that's what I think may be some of the mindset from some people who have those worries about what the tradition is and not getting away from it. Because you think about, like, if you do something different, most times people are going to try to force it into a box of someone else's. So, for example, if you do something that has a little bit of like a Blue Devils, oh, y'all just copying from Blue Devils, y'all trying to do that white mess. Or if you do something, if Norfolk does something that looks like a swag band, oh, see, y'all just trying to be Jackson. See, I loved y'all when y'all was this, but now y'all trying to be this. And be like, damn, I can't do nothing that's a little bit different. So I think the worry sometimes is that if you get out of your norm, where are you going? Where are you going for real? And where can you go? Where will the crowd even allow you to go? They're not allowing you to switch it up unless the shit is dope. If you dope and it's going hard, the band sounds great, and we go back to those core concepts Rick and I were talking about. If you're good, you're good. People will acknowledge good. They may argue in the car about that shit, but in that crowd, they're gonna be clapping because it's dope.
But you know what, Mario? You're actually you spot on. But like, I'm from Portsmouth, like in Portsmouth, Norcom ran everything. I went to Churchland, and Norcom was the band, and like everybody in our city talked about. Like, Norcom was a nationwide band. Like, everybody knew Norcom. The thing about Norcom is Norcom was like a facsimile of Norfolk State, because Emory Fears was the band director at Norcom before he went to Norfolk State. So those two bands are very similar to one another. But here's the thing. As much as people in the city love Norcom, Norcom was able to constantly evolve. I think that's the last part of it, Mario. Bands that people love have the opportunity to do that.
Right. That Music Soul Child thing would have worked if it was Southern.
Yeah. If he would have came out,
it would have been Southern. They would have loved it.
Right. But like Norcom, when Mr. Prentice, when BB was at Norcom used to drill to core style songs. Like they drilled to a Scorpion one year, and then the next thing they would hit you with this killer ballad. So it went from a Scorpion into, and it was funny because we played a Scorpion at Churchland too, and they came back with 100 more people than us to play. I was like, so. But then they went into What Kind of Man Would I Be by Mint Condition. So it was still the culture, but BB was saying, not only can my band do what that band is doing, but check this out. You know what I'm saying? We still us. So I think the last part of this whole conversation is certain bands have more leeway than others. They just do. It is what it is. You don't have to like it, but at the end of the day, I already love you, so I'm gonna give you the leeway to do something different because that love has already been established. So, yep.
All right. Cool. Man, that was a good one. That was a good one. We went a while for that one. So definitely some good thoughts on that. All right. Everybody, if you're just tuning in or if you're just walking in, welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversations about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Please make sure that as soon as you come in, you go ahead and smash that like button. Click those likes. Let's get these likes up. All right. Let's make sure we get these likes up. Also, if you're watching us on Facebook, that is dope. I appreciate you watching also on Facebook, but go over to the YouTube channel and go ahead and subscribe to the network. And let's make sure that we turn on notifications. All right, on to the next topic. One of the things I think me and Rick were talking yesterday, and we we were having a conversation about hiring practices, which brought up another conversation. And so this is just kind of off the top of my head, one of the things that we kind of hinted on. Does there need to be a restructuring of our HBCU music programs? Does there need to be a restructuring of our HBCU music programs? And so just to kind of give some insight on that, I'm talking about from top to bottom, how we have how we set up our programs as far as admin, how we set it up as far as the levels of I can't even think of the word I'm looking for. Jesus. What am I looking for? What word am I looking for, Rick? You're shaking your head. Help me out. You don't know. I can't even think of the word that I'm looking for. Good Lord. But how will we structure the whole program? So when me and Rick were talking yesterday, we were talking about the idea of the fact that a university or a director of bands is a director of bands, but then you also have an athletic director or director of athletic bands in some programs, whereas in some programs or in some HBCUs, the director of bands is the athletic band director. And so just from top to bottom, the whole kit and caboodle. So I said kit and caboodle, that is old. Does there need to be a restructuring of our HBCU music programs? When I think of that word that I was thinking about, I'm gonna say it. But anyway, Chief, you got it first.
Yes and no. So I think just holding people responsible for the things and the duties that they already have is a big part of the job. People have duties that they don't fulfill. You know what I mean? So there are curriculum issues, but there are also teachers who don't teach. You can have a wonderful curriculum, but people don't come to class on time. This 10, 15-minute rule book crap that people don't come and be like, oh, we just going to meet online and I'll just send y'all some and all this other bull crap. Not having private lessons, not having teachers for private lessons, not teaching real pedagogy in these ensemble classes, not having small ensembles, not actually having a real spring season and having concert band. There's a lot of problems. And those things have nothing to do. I'm getting echo. Hold up. I'm getting.
That's Julian. Microphone. There you go.
Okay. I was saying some of those things don't have anything to do with the curriculum. That has a lot to do with just people doing their jobs properly. And we got to get away from that. Oh, good old boy. Oh, it's okay. It's family. We family, but there's still responsibilities within the family. My son knows that he has to take out trash. My son knows he has to clean his room. There's still responsibilities in my house. So there's things that we family, but there's still things everybody needs to do in order for this family to run properly. And a lot of kids are getting the short end of the stick, and they're still paying these high amounts for
job description. That was the word I was thinking about. Good God. Yeah. I'm sorry.
So, and then the other part of that is what you just mentioned. So there is a fear sometimes that it's for some places, I may think, because based off the demographics that are in some music departments, that people don't like necessarily hiring other ethnicities into their programs because they are worried about losing the culture of their school and all the type of stuff. But good is good, man. I want the best person that teaches theory, man. I want the best person that's teaching whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I just want the people who can do the job properly in position to do it. And these kids deserve it. We continually put out the band directors who are making really good products out of limited resources in their inner city schools, limited resources for their HBCUs. What if we actually had the proper situations and curriculum in place and supports in place and teaching people how to properly deal with these at-risk situations or lower income situations that you can actually know what you're doing. Those are a lot of problems. So that's a multi-layered question and answer for me. But the answer is yes. There needs to be restructuring because there needs to be better curriculum and more things set in place. But there also needs to be some checks and balances for the people who are actually professors at these schools to hold the university professors and the students accountable, because it's not just the professors, the students as well. So,
Rick, does there need to be a restructuring of our HBCU music programs?
Um, HBCU music programs. I think all music programs. I don't want to just single out our programs. I think all music programs in general need some form of restructuring. Why? Because our music programs are built on the Western music canon. They just are. So at the end of the day, most of the students that are in our, especially music programs at HBCUs, but all over the country, are not going to be orchestral, trumpet, whatever players. They're just not. They're going to be playing in church groups. They're going to be playing in R&B groups. They're going to be playing in rock bands, all these other ensembles that are not taught at the college level. I feel like a student should be able to build their own curriculum. I don't want to be an orchestra trumpet player. I want to play in the style of Miles Davis. So I want to be learning to do that and build my curriculum around that. It should be like one of those things where, like with tech, where you can pick this piece and put it in, pick this piece and put it in. I think that's what music programs should look like in the 21st century. That's the first part. The second part of that is, with all of this, it has to be based on the budget of that particular school. If you want to talk about HBCUs, our programs don't have the budget of these big schools that have a director of bands and a director of athletic bands and a private lessons teacher for every instrument and all that stuff. Yeah, Mario was absolutely right. The student expectation has to be high, but at the end of the day, a lot of these schools can't even afford to put somebody in front of the student. I know very few people that graduated from HBCUs that were like oboe and bassoon majors that had a specialized teacher. Usually their private lessons teacher was teaching oboe, bassoon, clarinet, saxophone, all that. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, there are budgetary restrictions in place that keep a lot of these programs from being able to do that. I continue to sit on the on undergrad curriculum committees. And these type of conversations are being had, but at the end of the day, you got to have the resources to be able to do that. The part where I think for HBCUs, you can see it, is that those resources are usually funneled heavily into the marching band. Like I got to be honest, some of these HBCU band budgets are way larger than what a lot of these big schools are dealing with. Way larger, like substantially. So at the end of the day, if you're putting millions of dollars into marching band programs and you're investing 20,000 into the wind ensemble and another ensembles, then naturally those ensembles are going to take a hit. So I think resources is the other part that needs to be talked about.
All right. Quan, does there need to be a restructuring of our HBCU music programs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I was writing down some notes, and again, this does not apply to everybody's undergraduate experience, but these are some of the things that I faced, as well as some of my other colleagues and whatnot. For the most part, when you go as an undergraduate as a music education major, first of all, you're going to take some of the following classes. Of course, music theory, applied lessons. You're going to be in a small or large ensemble. Now, here's the part where it gets sketchy. You may or may not have either counterpoint or arranging class. There's no such thing as a drill writing class or how to emulate those particular things on the field in regards to band pageantry. There's no real administration class on how the effects of administration skills helps your band program run, how to develop systems and whatnot. Uh, there's really no class that teaches you in regards of curriculum and learning objectives and goals, those things that you're supposed to learn. Uh, there's no real class that honestly teaches you about how to attain music books and different music resources and how to develop those standards for your students. And then lastly, there's no real repair class. In my opinion, these are the things, if you're specifically talking about band being a band director, these are things we face every day on a daily basis. And a lot of those things we learn by experience, or if you have an elder mentor that is willing to teach you. So, in my opinion, like we've had on this conversation on the show prior to, are we really prepared to graduate from these institutions and go get these jobs? For the most part, many of us we're not. And these are the things that we're faced. So that's why, in my opinion, we need to restructure these programs. Let's take it a step further. Many of us, honestly, in the HBCU realm, again, not all, are not even graduating certified. Like if we just start there, and because this is a raw and uncut show, I've been in interviews where the fine arts directors have literally said, "Say what school you went to," and I'm like PV, and they literally said, uh, I would hire you, bro, but like, let me check your certification, like, real quick, because most people from your school that graduated weren't certified. And they name the historical black schools that they say, yeah, they're great, they're very talented, but they're not certified. Like, they don't have their credentials. And then they go in and express how at one point they was hiring them as aides so that it can get into the system and giving them that probation phase of a year to ensure that they would get certified and never got certified. So when you're speaking about restructuring HBCU programs so that we can ensure that we have those jobs, we got to start there. Are we truly graduating highly qualified teachers that can pass that state board exam? Are we truly honestly having students prepared to teach what they learn, and not just because you took theory for 4 or 5 years, but can you really teach that and break those things down to those students? If you're not doing that, bro, like honestly, we fail. And like Rick said, I do feel like we should revamp the curriculum uh of the undergraduate aspect, because even though we're trying hard for the most part, there's so much that we're missing. And honestly, we're starting behind the 8 ball compared to other institutions.
Word. All right. Maya, does there need to be a restructuring of our HBCU music programs?
I mean, well, there's not much to add. to add. Very much so. I agree with what everyone has said. When I initially read this or heard this question, my mind went to or gravitated towards what Quan just expounded upon. Not to say anybody else is wrong. I totally agree with both Mario and Brownie. But I guess the way that I would think about it is, instead of saying restructuring, I guess it would be refocusing for me, to make sure that as a department, and I guess this kind of like pulls everything that everyone has talked about, as a department, that everyone is working cross functionally, that students are equally as prepared in the entertainment aspect as well as the academic aspect. But again, that's exactly what everyone else has hinted on. So I mean, I guess my job here is done because I agree. That's what happens when you go last, typically. And that doesn't mean I want to go
Especially on
first
this
for the
show.
next one. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Especially on this show.
Did anybody on this show, did y'all have a repair class or anything like that?
Nah.
So
Barely had strings.
But instrument repair is taught through apprenticeship now. It's not
Yeah.
in very many programs across the country at all. So technically, if somebody wants to get an instrument repair, they don't even have to go to college. They just have to get an apprenticeship with a master repair. Now there are schools that do it. At Ohio State, man, Ohio State is the gold standard when it comes to marching band resources. I ain't talking about performance, none of that. I'm just talking about resources. I went to Ohio State. They have a room in their building. First of all, their marching band room is attached to the football stadium. It's a part of the football stadium. So they just march downstairs to go to the field. That's first of all. They have multiple band rooms for the marching band. This is not the music building. The music building is across campus. They have a repair site there that is probably that room is huge. They get there, they do all their repairs on site. Somebody comes to them and uses the resources they have there.
Wow.
So they have each student gets 2 instruments. Each student gets 2 like this, like they get everything. They get the iPad. Like that to me is like the gold standard of resources. Whereas you have a band like, some others I've dealt with where the students are more responsible for that. I think a lot of schools still have the students paying band fees in college, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying? Like for your package and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, man, when we talk about how programs operate, and for me, music programs is the whole program, like you said, Julie. If you are sinking all your money into one thing, something else is going to struggle. So I think that what's important to schools, you'll see, and you'll see through the presentation. When I go to UT, I know that wind ensemble is important to them. Why? Because their wind ensemble is everywhere. They perform at TMEA, at Midwest. They all over the country. They're recording CDs, all that. So just depend on what your band holds to be important, and you sink all your resources into that.
All right, cool. All right, on to the next topic.
Hey, now we getting popular again. We got another Russian bar. Who's got?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I saw it earlier. I just was gonna let it rock. Yeah, we good. Just you got it. He's a gamma too. All right, here we go. Let's keep it moving. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversations about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Please make sure that you go ahead and click that like button. If you're just coming in, go ahead and click that like button. If you've been here and you've been inside the chat, hey, go ahead and click that like button too. All right. Also, if you're on the Facebook, go over to the YouTube page and make sure you subscribe to the network and turn on notifications. We're also on to our last topic. I'm going to make sure that I put the link so you can call in with us in the chat, as well as the description for the show. So if you can't find it in the chat, just go into the description of the show, refresh your browser, and it'll be right there for you. All right. Here we go. Last topic. I brought this up on the after hours, and it kind of didn't go to, it went a lot of different ways, but I want to bring it up today, something that it was brought up yesterday. So let's bring it up. Gender roles in band. Gender roles in band. If you need me to give it a little bit more context, I don't mind. Just ask. But if you want it wide open, we can go wide open. Pause.
Hey, let me go first, you. Let me
go ahead, Rick.
Why aren't there more female band directors? I mean, I'm just being honest, y'all. At the end of the day, there have been a lot of women that have come through these programs that are legit. Miss Sanders is dope as fuck. I'm sorry. Miss Sanders is legit. Miss Sanders is one of the best musicians I've ever heard play her horn. Miss Sanders is she was our jazz band director. Jazz band was my favorite ensemble I was in at Norfolk. You know what I'm saying? Including the marching band. Why aren't there more female band directors? And I think it comes from a misogynistic place. I think that there are a lot of people that don't feel like women can do the job. I think Miss Sanders would be able to take any band. The reason why Norfolk sounds the way they do is because Miss Sanders. Miss Sanders been doing music since we were in the band. Miss Sanders coming there, you already knew what you was about to get. Now, kids at PV, they used to get mad at me because I used to run 2-3 measures until it was perfect. We got that from Miss Sanders. Miss Sanders would not. Let that not be right. Like, go listen, y'all. You want to hear some of Miss Sanders' best work? Go listen to Norfolk State 2002 at A&T, because she cleaned all that music. that have crazy. Miss Sanders, I never forget, Mario. I don't know if you and Julie remember this. The session she had with us on that Hot in Here with the articulation and stuff like that.
Absolutely,
I
I
was in
remember.
the trumpet section, bro. We had to be in that.
Bruh,
We had the melody.
bruh. Miss Sanders hit that, man. I will never forget that. Like, I didn't forget almost every rehearsal I ever been in. I will never forget that rehearsal. Miss Sanders up there. Dum, 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 dum. I'm like, get it, Miss Sanders. Like, and then you go listen to the recording, and that's exactly like teaching syllables and all that. That was the first time I had seen that. And then well, not the first. I had March Drunko, but whatever. At an HBCU level, that was the first time I had seen that. And I'm sitting there like, this lady is dope as fuck. So that's where I was coming from with it. And then in addition, like dope ass dudes on instruments that you wouldn't expect a man to be on. You know what I'm saying? Like that brother that went to Southern. I heard he was a dope ass piccolo player. But I remember looking in the groups and they bashing that dude just because he's a large guy playing piccolo. Well, we don't need to talk bad about all these other things, but I can call that man everything but a child of God, because he chose to play that instrument. Like gender roles, like HBCU bands, we got some involving to do. But I'll get out of the way. I would love to hear y'all's opinion. So that's where I was coming from with it.
Who jumping in there?
My bad. I was doing the link. All right. Maya, gender roles in band.
Don't look like that, Boo Boo Kitty. You were in a section where this gender roles conversation is huge right now.
I mean, not even that, but let's take that and let's flip it, right?
It's huge.
When we talk about, not even pertaining to my section, when we talk about women in the band, what's one of the first things that you hear? Or excuse me, I'm speaking from my perspective. There are no women in the band. Let's start there. That's number one reason why a lot of things are, I guess, in terms of women, may not be prominent, because when we're put into the band, we're already de-escalated our femininity or our standing as women, unless you are in an auxiliary. That's the only time it is quote unquote acceptable for you to be a woman or of gender of feminine gender, whatever that means to you, right? So let's start there. I mean, if we want to take it a step further, why are there not more female drum majors, like Miss Shawn said, female band directors, whatever the case may be? I mean, if we really want to get down to it, we're talking about HBCUs. So yes, that means that can be an encompass of different ethnicities, races, and things like that. But I'm gonna talk about us, the blacks, we the blacks. Okay, yes, the black woman is the what? She's the most unrepresented, unappreciated, belittled person in the world, right? So automatically, when you think about stance, when you think about those positions opening up, not only do I have to get in line with these men, I'm not a black man, I'm a black woman. So I'm automatically the bottom of the barrel. So not only do I have to prove my worth, I have to prove my worth against these men. And don't let it be any type of school or anything where there is a mass of different types of genders or races or whatever the case may be. I'm automatically put at the very bottom. And 9 times out of 10, being able to surpass those, whether I'm the most talented, most accurate, most achieved, with the best credentials or whomever, it does not matter because I am woman. Now, if we want to talk about it, it doesn't just change until women are appreciated in life in general, and we're not looked upon as housemakers and belittled to, oh, can you cook and all that type of stuff. That is only the beginning of it. So until that happens, there's no hope for being able to have a larger representation of women being able to stand in the right of womanhood in the sense of the arts. Well, excuse me, not the arts. Let's say band specific. Because if we want to talk about dance, oh yeah, because that's where you belong. As a woman, you belong over there twirling with your little tights on, with your little leotard on. Sure, fine. That's all up to you. Don't send no man over there. Women, that's where you belong. But let's flip it. When it's time for me to play my horn, play my instrument, get on a drum or whatever, oh, just give her the light sticks. Give her the little one. Give her the little drum. Give her the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that, So yes, I mean, I don't know if this is a question. There's very much gender roles in band, but it's just more so ignorance. And I mean, we can talk about that all night because that's just life in general, life as a woman, and especially life as a Black woman. But I'm just happy to be here. Thanks so much for letting me, the small one, be a part of the panel and the conversation. Let me speak my two.
Hey, Eco. Hey.
She's saying that good and well known she the David Ruffin of this group.
Ain't nobody came to see y'all. No.
Absolutely.
Right. Ain't nobody came to see us.
Ain't nobody came to see us.
That is
You already know everybody
Right,
coming
they
to
get
see us.
online.
I'm
Maya,
Maya
you look
Angelou the
nice
brand.
tonight.
I'm Maya Angelou the brand, and these are the others.
That is
Hey, Mario, as soon as you said that, that's when my screen clicked off.
It just wanted to put you in the dark.
Absolutely. All right, Quan, gender roles and band, bro.
So for me, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna say I'm not aware of it, but I guess me as a band director, I just never operated from that mentality. The very first drum major that I had in my band was a young lady, and honestly, if you could do the job, bro. That's just my mindset. That's really it. So gender roles, nah, I don't particularly care for that. Now I would like to add from Rick's point when he was speaking about, I guess you would say genderizing. I don't even know if that's a word, but instruments. Uh, I think, and there was some research on this that I had a line brother do, that this happens more particularly in the African American culture than any other. Because if you look at the Hispanic culture, honestly, they have young men that plays flute, clarinets, an instrument that quote unquote will be considered more feminine than not. Like they play flute, like they don't have a problem. They'll play viola, they'll play, clarinet. They don't have an issue with that. But I think when we speak about uh, historical Black colleges, in particular men, the heavier the instrument or a brass instrument, like that's more of a masculine, type of instrument. And that only happens, with us, we the Blacks, quote unquote. So I think we need to grow up, and that I word comes back again, ignorance. That's all I have to say in regards to gender roles. But I've heard of Miss Sanders from my conversation with her. She's an outstanding director. I do appreciate the spotlight that Dr. Roebuck at Grambling has. I think it should be highlighted even more. Is the lady still over? She's the director of bands at Mississippi Valley.
No, she's in Las
I don't know.
Vegas now, but she does consulting as well.
Okay, so like even there, like I know, like I say, Dr. Tamisha Brock,
Right.
like it's nothing for her. Very approachable. I hit her up on and gain some information from her. So I mean, if you can do the job and you have, the information, you have the information. Crystal is another one. All of these, women, these Black women are great resources. I mean, and they know their craft. So
Yeah,
I don't even operate like that. So
And I do want to say, I want to put this out there. As y'all know, I will completely 100% confess every day that I'm an avid J5 fan. But I just wanted to put out there the young brother from J5 from Dallas. He went to Skyline High School. The Hispanic kid. He's a piccolo player. So I wanted to put that information out there for those people who didn't know. So yeah, Mario. This is probably going to be very interesting for you to answer this one because of your background, brother. So gender roles and band, Mario.
I don't know. I don't really want to touch this. I know it's uncut, but I can't really say what I want to say. I know it's like, oh, you gotta, I just can't say what I want to say. So I will say this. Everything should be led with respect. Everything. Everyone, inclusiveness shouldn't even really be a word, because if you respect somebody, where somebody meets, like who somebody is and what they represent, or their culture, ethnicity, whatever you want to call it, their sexuality, their preferences, whatever they want to be called, and all that stuff. It's like, I mean, just leave people alone and respect them. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day. However, I struggle with this sometimes, and maybe some people can help me with this. I don't believe in, like, what my dance instructor at my school doesn't. We've had males dance with us. I actually had there's videos of the band. One of our dance captain was not captain, but like the advisor was a male, and he could dance. He was great. So we just, it was, his issue wasn't dancing; it was other things. It's just immaturity. But the biggest issue that I see sometimes, I'm just trying to figure this out. That we don't want to overly sexualize the idea of having women dress a certain way, and then you'll say, well, could they wear different things and still have the same effect? Well, then don't worry about what they're wearing and don't sexualize them, and you just need to not be hormonal and get over this and that and the other. But there's been admittance that the idea is some in some aspects being sexual in movements, and so it's like, it's hard to really put my finger down on how that works within the dance sphere, because the same people that maybe like women who have said certain things about not wanting to be sexualized and women being equal and all this other stuff will then also say they don't want a man dancing with them. So it's like, men, I feel like in our culture, in American culture, men, there's been bad black fathers, there's been absentees, there's been like misogynistic, there's been a lot of shit that men have been blamed for. But the real problem is that I think sometimes we're not allowing the evolution, because I know a lot of positive brothers, but we always get looped back into the same effing person. Everybody doesn't think the same anymore, doesn't do the same stuff, but oftentimes we're always looped into this space where you're going to be looked at the same way no matter what the time is. And I feel like that's a part of, just like men do things incorrect, there's women who are doing things incorrect as well. And I'm not saying we're not blaming anybody, but I just want you to understand that this is not just a male problem, because we frame it that way often. Like, men do this and they're the reason for this. And historically, you're absolutely correct. Historically, absolutely. But we have come into a time where there is things happening on multiple sides of the coin that create issue. The first Miss Spartan, I heard somebody put it in the chat, Sean put it in the chat. The first Miss Spartan from my time should have been Latoya Webb. She would have been an outstanding drum major. It ain't have the shit to do with her just being a woman. She was a great musician, a great leader, and she's showing it now. She's Dr. Webb now. And we knew this then, that she was dope as hell. Like, that was the misogynistic bullcrap that happened there. That was bullcrap. But I've also had men who wanted to apply to hot ice.
Accent for a while was dope.
Right.
Was kicking.
Right.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that there's a double standard when it comes to the way men can be dogged out because there's so much history of being shitty.
But I think, Mario, the biggest
they have history of being shitty. They do. Men have a history of being shitty, but currently it's not a one-sided problem. That's all I'm saying. And that's
Mario, I think the problem with the men in dance is a lack of creativity. Because when a lot of people say they don't want men in dance, what they see in their mind is a man out there in a leotard dancing beside the women.
But what if he did? But what if he did, though? What if he did? So what? But
the thing about it is, HBCU band culture is the only place in the world where you can still be misogynistic,
right?
You can bully people, you can be homophobic, you can be all those things, and it's widely accepted across the board.
Right.
We see this on a regular basis.
Right.
You'll see young men who may have been born a woman and then it's now a man, or vice versa, and people in HBC culture would say, "Man, that ain't no woman, that's a dude." That's only, and I won't even say HBCU band culture. I just know in these groups, I've seen it so many times where all of those things are accepted. Me personally, if I was put into that situation, yes, me personally, I know that these ensembles have been traditionally women when it comes to from the dancer perspective. That's why I would love to hear Maya's point of view. But for me, if I was put in that predicament, I could say, okay, times have changed. The country has changed. The world has changed. The Me Too movement happened. You can't put it back in the box. So for me, what I would say is, okay, I know that's happened. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this in an Alvin Ailey style. I'm going to have male ballerina women, but I'm going to actually think outside of the box and pick music and pick performance opportunities that highlight that fact. I will have interaction between the two. Yes, he can dance exactly the same way as them, but then and here I'm going to throw this there, and I'm going to be creative. That's the problem, and that's what I keep saying on this show. The problem is we can only do our band one way. And if we don't do it that way, then the world is about to end. Like we talked about Trey Songz. People, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. It's coming. I'm telling you it's coming. When I talked about KK Psi and TBS, KK Psi is traditionally a fraternity. Most of us over here are in KK Psi.
Right.
KK Psi is a fraternity that is co-ed. You can't shove that back in the box. So how do we, Mario? You know I ain't lying. How do a lot of black bros look when they see females in the frat?
Well, I mean, if you're going to talk about KKSI, there's a couple of HBCUs that have females in the chapters, and if I'm not mistaken, now you can't even start a chapter without
a female on the roster, right?
Yeah,
right.
So it's like at the end of the day, it's coming, y'all. And we are, as black people and black culture and HBCU band culture, are not immune from what's happening in the United States. Go ahead, bro.
I don't disagree with any of you were saying. I the only way that I look at it is the perception typically is going to be a dude out there in a leotard, which I guess for many people throw their perception off, and they're like, no, we ain't gonna have that, but I do think that and I agree with what Rick is saying, you got to be creative. Even when I look at the guys in drum corps, when they are picking their uniforms and their outfits, they're picking something that is going to not only be conducive for the show, but that's also going to be conducive for both genders.
But they also don't single out the trans members.
Absolutely.
There are people that were born men that identify as women.
I agree.
So they're women. So get over it. You don't have to agree with that. You don't have to believe in the political side of it. But if a person is female gender identifying, that ain't about you. That's about them.
Right.
And what makes them comfortable. Take your selfish self out of the situation.
That's what I said, leading with respect in the first place.
Right.
Like respecting individuals for wherever standpoint they come from. You can have whatever. Well, no, you can't. You know how people can say, I was about to say you can have whatever beliefs you want, but then your beliefs will bleed into your position sometimes. So it'll bleed into your conversations and in the way you think and process, and it'll eventually be your bias over time. If it's not initially, over time it can become that. But I agree with what you guys are saying. I think a big piece of this, when I was saying this, like literally you're watching I feel like high schools do this better than colleges. You'll see high schools with,
for the most part,
mixed gender, like all types of things going on, and it's like whatever. Like what I was saying was, I'm not looking at. I know, and I'm not trying to be disingenuous with this. If I saw when I was in college, if I saw Bub and Brown Sugar, I'm not gonna act like I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. I'm not gonna act like that's not the women are not attractive. But I'm also not gonna sit here and act like every time I look at a dance line, I'm like, like I'm like a horn dog. That's ridiculous, bro. Like it's still a craft. They're still dancing. It's still a skill set. So it's like I feel like there also needs to be some learning in those spaces too. That like over sexualizing everything, and that's not just us. That's like the world, man. We over sexualize the hell out of things, man. And it's a difficult thing because while we're trying to, where some are trying to learn that, it's like a conflict of interest in the world, general culture. So you come into our band sphere, and it's just a reflection of the rest of the world in terms of some of these biases and these little good old boy sections and like these little pockets of derogatory, feelings and thoughts and spaces. And that's just a reflection of the world. You know what I mean? Somebody asked me this question on my last comment. I'm gonna let you go. Say that, bro. I was gonna say, if somebody is racist, I'd rather know they're racist. I don't want you hiding. I want you to tell me so we can either have a discussion and agree to disagree, which we probably will, obviously will, or we can find some way to have a medium ground and we can learn how to respect each other in some type of general way. But what happens is we have people who are super like they're bashy in their personal lives, and then they come in front of people and they try to act like they're not, and it bleeds over because you can see it. If everybody that does these things in your band all look the same way, and people have tried to do these things, you can't sit here and say you're not if you're showing that you are. So if somebody can do the job, let them do the job, like Quan said. Period.
Before you go, Maya, I'm gonna let you go. I just want to say, Sean, I was definitely gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, me too.
It ends up always going to the dancer side when we have these conversations. I think that all of this is conversations that need to be had, but I find it very interesting that it always does bleed over into the dancers conversation. Now, what I also will say is there is still some, and I think Maya brought it up earlier, and I just kind of want to bring it bring it back up. There are still some gender biases as it relates to band directors and instrument selection. In most cases, and I'm not saying everybody's like this, but I've seen it happen before. Oh, you're a girl, you play flute. Let's put you on flute. You got them little baby hands. You nice little cute little girl. Let's put you on flute. And then you see the big dude, and you got to play tuba, dog. You got to play tuba. You know what I'm saying? He might just be a dope clarinet player. You know what I'm saying? I got a heavy set young African American male who plays clarinet in my band right now, and he's a really good player. But I've had to have conversations with him. I've had to pull him to the side because he himself has now been feeling like, well, I'm around a bunch of girls and I'm the black dude and all my friends play football and they make fun of me because I play clarinet, and I don't know if I want to keep playing this, and I want to quit because I don't want to be looked at as a dude who plays clarinet, and I don't want to be looked at as like that. And I've had to have a conversation with him. It's like, yo, you play clarinet. You're a dope clarinet player. I have a good friend. One of my best friends is a clarinet player, and he's dope, and now he's out. I was talking about you, Mario, by the way. And I was like, but now he's out there gigging and doing great things as a musician, man. So you can be great, man. Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, because most of your friends didn't even make the football team. You were at least in the top band. You were in the top band at this school, and you're a dope clarinet player. So you need to stop with that, man. Chill with that. So
people didn't even know at Norfolk that I played clarinet.
Unless they talk to you.
Yeah, right. I was euphonium section leader, and then concert band come, and I'm sitting first chair at clarinet.
Yep. Yeah, and it threw me off my freshman year because I was like, this dude play clarinet. I see. Because I had never really seen too many clarinet players.
But again, that goes back to what we were speaking about culture. It goes back to culture, bro.
That's true. Maya, I know you had something that you were going to say. Go ahead.
I mean, at this point, I don't even know. There's so many things. Like, yes, we ended up talking about everything going back to dance lines, but I just want to take it back to the larger picture, band in itself. Let me go back. Gender roles in band, is this a question? Was it a statement? Or was this just strictly an open book to be able to fulfill or make it what you think before I go any further?
Well, I could have given some kind of ground to it, but we kind of took it and ran with it, so it just became very open. So
Sure.
we'll just leave it wide open.
So the thing is, like, it's easy for, and I think that the one of the reasons why, and no disrespect, like we're just having a conversation. I think one of the easiest ways for the conversation to always pinpoint or always backtrack back towards dance lines is because it's the easiest thing to pinpoint, because I think subconsciously we think that is where quote unquote women belong. Like, that is where we've seen, not necessarily belong, I don't want to say it like that, but that's where women have been the most quote unquote prominent. That's where we see over and over and over. That's where, okay, if a woman is in a dance line, there's no thought about it. It doesn't make any sense. However, if a lady wants to get on a drum line, or she wants to get and be in the K or be in the tube section, it's like, okay, let me see what you got. Like, let me see if you even got the chops to even let us even have this conversation. Nevertheless, taking it a step further and going into a step of leadership, right? If we want to talk about from our own perspective, one of the hardest section leaders that's ever come through the storm, man, woman or not, was Shonda Mack, in my opinion. From my day, from something that I can truly reference, was Shonda Mack for a plethora of reasons. But if I could say that, I'm sure, well, one, Shonda is different in her own right to be able to demand respect. It's the fact that she didn't have to demand respect, or just being in band in general. You have to demand a particular type of respect, or be able to showcase, I am talented for these reasons and I deserve to be here, as opposed to it just being innate. Whether you're woman, man, gender, however you represent, whatever you identify as, instead of it just letting your talent or your motivations or your passion speak for themselves, I have to associate with a particular level in which I can then be identified or placed within, whether it's a section or a program or whatever, based off of the I don't even know how to explain it. Just based off of norms. And I mean, honestly, if we're gonna be honest, there are gender norms within the band as well, just like there are gender norms in life. This is a male ran world. So just as easy as you can say, like, yeah, it's easy, like you should let people have whatever, but that's not realistic, right? So the same person that says, oh, a man can't be in a dance line, or a woman can't play a tuba, will be able to identify and say, well, yeah, I know the difference between a Democrat and a Republican. So you understand that there are differences in opinions. You understand that there's a difference in value. But when you place that and put a gender on it, it becomes a little bit different. My bad, y'all, my phone going on. But again, like this is an endless conversation. It's just more so, again, as a woman, I mean, I've been living it this long. To be able to be a part, to be able to be seen, to be able to be notable, to be able to have reference, to be able to be considered or even justified, I not only have to prove my worth, but then I also have to debunk what it is to take to stand in the same stance as a man, whether white, black, or whomever. So it's all of those things. And I think that it's a long progression. As much as I'd like for us to say that we're in the norm, or we're in the realm of being inclusive, and for it not to matter of whether you're a man or a woman, to be able to be in the band program, be a leader, be a section leader, a band director, whomever, I think that that's very far-fetched, just because until women begin to get the respect that they deserve, we deserve, it's an uphill battle. And that's very biased, because I am woman. She is me. Shit.
Uh-oh, now I gotta get it. Hear me roar drop.
Very much so.
Somebody's about to say something. My bad, Chief.
Yeah, I was just gonna quickly say, well, obviously what I'm gonna say doesn't have anything to do with HBCUs in the South. I'm talking about a high school up north. So my high school experience, I grew up with women doing everything guys were doing. My band director is a woman, and she was the hardest, most aggressive person that I had known in my life, besides my mother, who was aggressive as hell. So I mean, I grew up around, maybe just Detroit was maybe just a little different. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody's upbringing and how they experience things, but like the women who were really, I'm not talking about like they had to be guys and all this stuff. I'm talking about they were doing the percussion style and the style that they were supposed to be playing. And then when they weren't, they were doing their own lady thing, however they wanted to present themselves. And that was fine. I just didn't have that experience until I got to college. To be honest, I didn't see a lot of the gender issues until I got to college, because I saw all type of things. And my high school experience was really dope. Like to be able to see women in charge of stuff, and women like Deanna Carpenter. She went to FAM 2000. She was a drum major of the band 2000. Desiree Ward. She was tuba section leader 01. She came to Norfolk. Janina Lockley. She was assistant section leader. Andrea Holly, drumline section leader. These are people who went to high school with me. So I'm used to women leading. It wasn't like a thing where this woman has to be in this category and they weren't getting respected. That was not my experience. The reason I mentioned dancing is because those are the areas where there is usually no diversity in my experiences. And that was just coming from my, maybe small worldview or whatever. Because I'm only speaking from like my high school experiences and then some stuff I saw in college. So, I don't know if it's different in Texas. I don't know high school band in Texas. So I'd have to be around that type of vibe or ask you guys because you know more than me about that. So that's why I'm coming from that perspective, because I don't see it the same way. I didn't see that bias in high school. I didn't see it at all. I saw it when I got to Norfolk though.
No, I agree. Like, that's just the difference. Welcome to Texas. Welcome to the South, where things are flipped.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can only imagine.
The dance lines can very much be diverse, whereas a woman is supposed to sit down, shut up. Is my breakfast on the table when I get up in the morning? Welcome to the South.
I mean, we're dealing with a lot of firsts, right? Like PV just had their first Hispanic band director. I mean, drum major. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. In Texas?
In Texas.
In Texas.
But before you go on that, Rick, I gotta really say this. I don't really agree with that, man. And I guess the reason why I don't agree with that is because first of all, I came from a high school where my head drum major my first year was a female. As a matter of fact, I had 5 drum majors my first year. 3 of them were female. I had a female assistant band director. Like, if you even think about it, back in the day when they made them old drum major uniform daddies, they cut the short daddies for the females. You had a long pants for the males, and then you have the short daddies for the females. And I was used to seeing females as drum majors. If I remember correctly, back in the day, I think it was either Madison. It may have been Madison and Houston, not Madison and Dallas. Madison, and matter of fact, Madison and Dallas had female drum majors. And I learned that from the history of when I worked there. But I think it was either Madison or it may have been Worthing or Yates. One of them, they had female drum majors. So I don't know. I don't know if I can get down with the whole it's a Texas thing, because I saw leadership.
I agree. I was being a little bit dramatic. I mean, I went to Townview. You know what I'm saying? Miss Melissa Washington is the assistant band director.
She's the band director.
I had one band director where it was a Hispanic lady. She was one of my drum majors. So coming from where I come from, yes, I am more so used to it, but I'm thinking on a more like a larger scale. When I got to PV, one of the first things I heard as a crowd, ain't no females in the band. Ain't no women in the band, and then going from that on. So maybe that is culturally, but also maybe it's more of not necessarily a demographic, but maybe that's the difference, like we were talking about, between high schools and colleges themselves. Stuff get real particular when we talk about HBCUs and the way things are supposed to be. Whereas when we think about the lower levels, high school, high school, middle school, and all that type of stuff, things are a lot more inclusive. They're a lot more diverse. However, when we get up to HBCU bands, it's kind of very one track or very like one step off. And that's where the change has to occur.
Yeah, well, I can agree with that, because in the past, I've been known to say that ain't no females in the band. I've said that in the past. I ain't gonna lie about that.
Right. So and to piggyback kind of like what you're saying, Julian, I think we had, first of all, in the box, I mean, we've had a female section leader out of the box. And then most recently, I think she marched a few years jazz. She was kind of like the section leader of MSD as well. What I think that comment, because I've heard it coming up at PV as well, there's no females in the band. When they said that, it wasn't a slight against the female. It was like, hey, we're not about to go any lighter on you. It's like we're all the same. And I think
sure, I agree with that too.
But you know what I'm saying? To me, that's worse. I mean, I don't think that justifies.
I can see that too, because it's like, well, a woman gonna bitch and moan. Ain't no bitching and
Right.
moaning.
You're assuming that by being a female, that means you're soft. Like Mike said, that's how I interpreted Quan. Maybe
right. No. And you're right. And but that kind of goes to like our first question in regards of the differences of opinions. Because like I say, the way you received it, I didn't receive it like that, but I may not have received it like that because I'm a dude. You know what I'm saying? So I know because we had females in the drum section. My several crab sisters. Shonda Mackey is my crab sister. So I think, yeah, like, and I think honestly, Prairie View has had leaps and bounds in setting the trends in regards of those things. Because I remember, Big Sister Adrian Rowe was the first
Adrian
black
Rowe,
female,
Woodridge High School.
of HBCUs, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's big. I mean, of course, now, in my opinion, should we see more of that? Absolutely. Because again, it goes back to, if you could do the job, just do the job.
But I think like there's a couple things, man, and I'll be brief.
What is that?
What was that, bro?
That was Julian and his weak ass mic. But anyway,
Trash can juice.
right. There's a couple of things, y'all. Like, first, I want to address what Maya and Sean brought up. Just to add on to what Mario said too. Maya, in addition to Mario saying it's the least diverse, I think it's also where you've seen the most pushback. I don't see any HBCUs today saying women can't be in charge. Matter of fact, a lot of schools are having their first, like Jackson had their first J5 female member a couple of years ago, right? You know what I'm saying? Like
2014, 13,
right.
something like that.
No. J5 did not have their first back in the 14s. J5 had their first in 03.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, it was
Sorry
way
about that.
before then.
Thanks
ahead,
for
Mike.
correcting me.
Yeah,
So,
no, you good. You good.
I feel you. My only thought to that is
J5
it. My only thought to that is, are we seeing that because it's being forced now, that it's being pressed upon us that you must be inclusive, just like we were having a conversation of millennials pushing back on the current generation and moving forward, or Gen Z, X, Y, whomever? Or is it because it's actually warranted and it is appreciated? Now, it could be a little bit both, but that is my only caveat.
But I don't think it matters, right, Maya? I think now that we're actually having a conversation about seeing women in positions of leadership, seeing women in positions that have historically they have been extremely underrepresented, which is why I started with the question, why aren't there more HBCU band directors that are women? Because, I think about it, when I think about it, even all the women directors that have been were at very small schools. Fascia at Virginia Union, Juliet at Elizabeth City, Tamisha at Mississippi Valley. The lady that's at Grambling right now, she's really, like, she broke the glass ceiling because she's the one that. So that's why I started that way. I don't think it matters how the conversation started. I think it's important that we're having a conversation. I think it needs to be for everybody, which is the reason why I said it, because like Mario said, we got to think about all underrepresented people. That's women, that's trans people, that's gay, that's whatever that is, the LGBT community. Like, as the blacks, like you like to say, as the blacks, these are very taboo conversations in our community as general. And you brought it up yourself, Maya. These same people that are up here being super liberal and all this stuff, go black people, vote Democrat, would be the same person that will be the most closed-minded person you ever met in your life.
Yeah.
I'm super liberal, but I don't believe in that, this, and that. Like, you can't sway on both sides of the fence. And then the last part I'll say is this: is our goal to have our needs met, or is it to have the needs of these kids met? Because no matter what that identity may be, these are children. These are 19, 20, well, not children, young adults, 19, 20, 21-year-old people. They don't have the life experience that I have. I'm 39. I can't expect a 19, 21-year-old. Right. I can't expect them to have the experiences that I have. Me now, as a 39-year-old, if I don't know something, I'm not calling my peers. I'm calling somebody that's been where I'm trying to go. You know what I'm saying? So I think as a people, we need to do a better job of being in the business, in the people business, and creating situations, right, where people want to be a part of what we're doing, but also in the process, understanding that things are going to change around us. The things that we represent now, 50 years from now, God willing, we all still here, you know, things are going to be different. As an 89-year-old man, I'm going to be a lot different then, hopefully, as I am now.
You're going to be
You know
holding a colostomy bag.
Right. Yeah, young fella.
Again,
You know,
it's going to be
I
hella
speak that.
different.
I'm
speak that.
79 years in the frat, young fella. This is how we did it in my day. Let me shut this out for you.
I feel you. I feel you. And that's a very valid
my final thoughts.
Ew.
What? I was saying you got the final thought. What? I'm giving it to you. All right, fine.
Like, damn, you got something else to say. Can you shut the hell up?
I will not be in the midst of this lack of liberation. You go ahead, Maya.
Vortex.
I was going to be not necessarily a pessimist, but I was going to do devil's advocate on the way in which I do. And maybe this is a personal problem, but we're just bringing it to the table, right? So, yes, what you're saying is valid. However, there is a sense of me, just like if we talk about affirmative action, just as we talk about being the culture count in work or whatever the case may be, I do still think, yes, it is necessary, no matter what the reason or the bottom line is, for us to be able to be open, to be more inclusive and more direct in our decision making of who can have what titles, whether it's gender based or whatever the case may be. But I do still think that we are in the times of which I want to be president because I deserve. I don't want to be president. I want to be whomever in this level of leadership because I deserve, because I beat everyone else. I am the most talented. I am the best person for the position, not because, oh, let's say just like all the companies in June, they go ahead and change their logos to be inclusive, to be flags and colorful flags and whatever, so they can seem as if they're inclusive to the LGBTQIA plus community, when really they're not, because in July they go right back and flip it forward. But to be accountable for the overall look of the thing, they want to be inclusive for that nature. That's what I'm saying. I still do think that there is a piece of that says, okay, hey, let her be drum major, or hey, let her be this, or hey, let him or whomever. There is still a piece of that. Now, again, you're right. The fact that we're opening up, no matter what, that is helpful. That is a step forward for the overall culture. But I do still think that there is a piece of it that has to identify with, hey, we want to be seen as inclusive. We want to be seen as doing our part. We want to be seen by the masses as being inclusive and direct. So go ahead and put her up there, or go ahead and put them up there, or however they identify, or whatever the case may be, or I have to have a particular count. I need to have at least 10 female sections leaders, so it look like we doing what the hell we doing. But in the background, we don't look like we're going to undermine them when it comes time, because we don't really value them as such. We just need it for the counts. And again, maybe you cannot relate because you may not have lived. You have lived it in a different light. As being a Black man, y'all have lived it, and to some degree. But right now we're talking about the women, okay, the Black women. And so I'm just being honest. That is a portion of it that is very much true and realistic.
I'm sorry, Julie. I know we gotta go. Go ahead.
I know we gotta go, but I got a quick comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. This is in agreement.
I'm saying it's getting good. Like this is.
Yeah, no. This is what you're talking about. Is why we keep getting NFL and NBA owners caught up. They don't truly believe in the stuff that they be putting out in their organizations. They get caught up on these phones saying NIGGER this and that, and I don't and they're trying to. They don't really believe the propaganda that they're putting out. So what you're saying is, like, though it is important, as Rick said, to get people in the seats in some way, like that's almost like early affirmative action. We needed to get people in the seats so we can at least start the conversation. But there's also a point of the type of people that are getting there based on merit alone and being able to be valued because they are good, period.
Right.
Stop. That's it.
That's
all I wanted to say.
Come on. Hey, Rick, last one. Go.
Ain't this what the show is about?
Hey,
Whoa.
Don't tell me what to do.
I'm a woman. I'm gonna stand my ground.
I was trying to end on you, Maya. I was gonna give you the hand clap and everything. Chief came in and took your thunder. Go ahead, Rick.
I'm agreeing with her.
Go ahead, Rick.
I ain't take no gun. I'm agreeing
No,
with
I
her.
don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Go ahead, Rick.
But that we can throw it. I'll throw it back to Maya, so Maya, you can close it. But here's what I'm gonna say. That's why I wanted to talk about this, y'all. It is frustrating to me to see all these talented women. Mario brought up the person that I had in mind by even bringing this topic to Julia. It does my heart so much. It gives me so much joy to see my homie Toya down there killing it at UT. Toya, that's enough, Jesus. But Toya just presented at Midwest. Toya is presenting all across the country. And I've talked to Toya about that whole drum major situation at Norfolk, and she is over it. But that imagine being right. I can only imagine that feeling to her knowing you were the best person and not being given the opportunity. So at the end of the day, I think it's important that we place this topic in the lexicon, because at the end of the day, if we don't have these type of conversations, they're not going to get had. We're going to still be talking about your band suck, your band is this, your band is that. I want to see some of these talented women. I need to see Miss Sanders in charge of a band. She should have already been, but we'll talk about that later. Hello. But all these dope ass women, that are in this field that are doing it at a high level. And so a lot of people in the comments have said it, and Maya, I'll throw it back to you to close us out. But it's a lot of these white women that are in these positions already. You know what I'm saying? And they've been given the opportunity. It's time for us to see some of our sisters in these positions of leadership. And like Maya said, don't make it a token position and then you set the lady up for failure. That's why I said majority of the women I've seen in these positions have been at smaller schools. So kudos. And it's still killing it. Facia been at Union for years. Shout out to Facia. Same thing with Juliet. Juliet been all across the country. That band in Portsmouth I was telling y'all about, Norcom, Juliet was the band director there. So it's a
national champion.
So it's a lot of dope ass women out there that's killing it. And I think it's important that we have these conversations. And also, like I always say, while also loving something, being able to be critical of it and helping us get better. So Maya, kudos to you, homie. And I'll throw it back to you so you can close this out so Julian will leave us alone.
Appreciate it, big dog. All I'm gonna say is I agree. And we need more men who are going to be allies in the sense of women be in their due placements. And when something happens, if shit fails, because the first thing that's gonna happen is they're gonna be like, well, she's a woman and she da. We need more allies. As Black men, as men in general, we need more allies for these women and let the women do the work, because where women exist, shit gets done and shit gets happened. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. Thank you so much. Hear ye. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Your time. Oh, look, Rick putting on the praise music. Hold up, I got you. All right. So the reason why I wanted to kind of bring it to a close is because we've been hitting it for a minute. But two, because I do think that this is a conversation that needs to be had on a different show. And so we are going to have that show coming up very soon. I want to say within, well, not December, but, working through January, having a show where we are going to have these major discussions. So I'm going to tell all of our viewers to look out for that post when that comes out, because we're definitely going to have that specific show that's going to come up. So please look for that. That's why I say you got to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications, because I'm telling you, like I've said before in the past, we got a lot of great stuff coming up. We have a lot of things coming up, a lot of good shows, and we about to have some merch. We got some merch coming. but I'm gonna hold off on that. Talking about that, we gonna bring that up. Rick, we good next week? Bring up the merch next week. All right, we'll bring up merch next week. Maya, you good with merch next week? Okay, got you. All right, so we'll bring out the merch next week. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming up, and I want to make sure that all of our viewers and all the people who support us and continue to support us are on the ground floor when all that happens. So please make sure that you go over to the network on YouTube, subscribe to the network, turn on notifications. Also, continue to click that like button, man. I always say that I want those likes to match the number of viewers that we have, man. And we've had a good number of viewers in here. But we want to make sure that we click that like button to get those likes up. All right, let's get ready to get on out of here. Let's get ready to get on out of here. All right, look at Mario like that. I'm trying to stay up, dog. God damn.
Mario in that 2K daddy. That's what Mario doing.
No, he not.
I am not. I'm sleepy as hell. You see these eyes, bro?
Yeah, I knew that he wasn't doing that. I could tell.
Mario will be hitting that straight tip. Ain't no after party, man.
Oh no, it ain't no after party. That was the other reason why I had to shut it down. Me and my wife got a date tonight. The Matrix dropped. Matrix dropped tonight on HBO Max, brother. Y'all tripping if y'all ain't on that.
That's what the kids call it now. The mate, you about to put you and your body about to go to the Matrix.
I want to have intercourse with you.
Time to drop them grades.
Oh, man. I know
that's right.
Ain't no grits tonight. This is straight. I'm watching the Matrix. The Matrix will not be watching me. I'll be watching the Matrix tonight. So I'm letting you know.
Better drop that deuce. So
red
ready for that long ass movie.
Pill or the blue pill is all I got to say.
Red pill or blue pill? There you go, Mike.
Yeah, red pill or blue pill.
You know you're taking that blue pill. You know you're taking that blue pill.
He has slow clap.
Thank you.
HBO Max talking about you still watching? Nah, I'm good.
You still watching?
Hey, I don't know about
macaroni and cheese.
He watching HBO Max. He watching Real Talk. Booty
Talk 57.
I'm letting you know now. I am watching The Matrix. The Matrix is not watching.
The Matrix in another dimension.
Oh,
that's what it's called.
That will not be happening tonight. I'm just letting you know. I've been hyped up about this Matrix. I done seen Spider-Man Daddy. Now I'm gonna go hit this Matrix Daddy. All right, so
hey, that Spider-Man was talking about something.
That Spider-Man, Spider-Man was crazy.
That Spider-Man is the truth. Ain't no spoilers here. We ain't doing that. But before we get out of here,
no, man, it was
before we get out of here though. Quan, any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture, bro?
Nah, man. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa. And also, y'all be careful, man. It's Omicron variant. It's something real, man. So, be safe. Mask back up, man.
All right, Chief. Any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture?
Just similar to what Quan said about that Omicron, man. Marion joint out here getting folks, bro. Real talk. Everybody in my house, we all getting tested, man. I went and got tested. I'm not feeling too great, but I was on here rocking the night with us. So I don't know, doing the best we can to make through. We had our spring concert, we had our winter pep rally, and that was really great. So I was really happy for that. But more importantly, one of my graduates that's graduated in May from Norfolk State University. She is applying to NYU. She wants to do film scoring. So I'm excited, and I'm so excited. This is just promoting. We were talking about Black women, and I'm really, really excited for her and her future. So look out for another amazing young Black woman. The bricks.
And also, real quick, Mario, shout out to you, brother, for having A&T come up to your school, man. I saw.
Oh yeah. I had to mention that too. Appreciate it, bro. I forgot about that. Shout out to Shuni Ari, man. My homegirl, Shuni, man. She set it up for me, man. I got a chance to talk to Dr. Ruff, man, and meet the band members, and they talked to our students. It was a great time, man. They came in at 8:00 in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, they came and did a performance and was hyped in the mug, man. Our kids had to catch up. So they was turned. And I was just like loving that they were showing our kids that, you know, you can have that energy. So I'll stop there. But shout out to North Carolina A&T State University, Blue and Gold Marching Machine. They came in the Science Park and did their thing. Behold.
Respect. All right.
Good, man.
Maya, what you got?
I mean, listen, today was a good show. Again, we're doing what we got to do, putting our money where our mouth is, putting our words and our opinions where our mouth is, and trying to progress everyone forward. Just everyone, you know, do what you can what you do, all of that. Happy holidays, and thanks so much for tuning in as always.
Yeah. Rick, any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. First of all, shout out to my rookie sister, Shuni. Mario already gave it a shout out, but that's my rookie sister. You know how 2000 does it. You know, amazing. Secondly,
2000.
Maya.
2000?
Yeah, my rookie year was 2000. All right, my rookie year was 2000. But anyway, Maya, that damn dog spoiled. You've been rocking and patting that damn dog all night.
This is my baby. This is my child.
I see. We all see that dog. She just probably snoring like hoops. But anyway, some dope music. So y'all, I don't know if y'all been seeing these on like Instagram, but you got like these really good singers that are like doing these duets with each other. And I know for me, I've been really like watching those. And so this one by one of the dopest singers, Ashley.
And Ashley is a beast.
So first of all, Ashley is dope.
Listen to this. Just listen.
Children call their favorite time of year.
So I'm sitting there listening to this. I'm like, man, these like my favorite singers. So if y'all don't know who Ashley J is, you need to get your phone out and you need to get on Instagram right now and friend her. But Ashley J is super dope, man. This lady can sing her tail off. But that lady she was just singing with is who I wanted to tell y'all about. Her name's Rolyn. She has an EP that just dropped. But like hearing female tenors, man, I just love that vocal range for women. You know, really altos into the tenor range. So my recommendation for today is go check out Rolyn's new EP because it's super dope, and go check out Ashley's Instagram page because she gonna bless you. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Like I always end, support Black, keep us uplifted in your thoughts and prayers. Keep our community moving forward, man. We are our own savior, and we need to look at it as such and continue to support these students. And put your money where your mouth is. You want to see your band get better? Support it. So that's it. Love y'all, man. Have a good night.
All right. And then finally, really mine. And then finally for me, man, the only thing I want to say, man, is just happy holidays to everybody, whatever it is that you celebrate. More love to you. Please make sure that you're being safe while you do it. That Omicron variant is definitely out there, and please make sure that you're masking up and doing all of the things that you need to do to stay protected, even if that means that you just need to stay in your house the whole time. But do whatever it is that you need to do to continue to feel safe. Other than that, please make sure once again that you subscribe to the network. Also, please make sure that when you go back and watch this show, if you caught it from the middle and you go back and watch it from the beginning, make sure that you go ahead and click that like button. There will be content that will be posted all the way up and through Christmas, through the Christmas time. Also, please make sure you turn on notifications and you catch all of the amazing things that we have on the network. With that being said, man, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. You guys are amazing. Nothing else that I got to say other than peace. I appreciate
all y'all that on here that wish me a happy birthday, y'all. Thank you so much, man. That was awesome. I forgot to say that. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, there you go. We have it. I appreciate y'all. You guys have a great one. Happy holidays to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Have a good one.
Y'all see how relaxed that dog was?